Chapter 1608. Chapter 1608. Chapter 1608 Success Rumble. Grandmaster Xing Yun was indeed worthy of being an alchemist whose soul power had reached the level of liquid to pill. His alchemy technique was superb. Even though Ning Yu's soul force had reached the level of breaking through to the Emperor realm in his previous life, he couldn't help but be moved at this moment. Portions of medicinal herbs were being refined at a rapid speed. After refining a set of medicinal ingredients, Master Xing Yun would take out a jade bottle and store the pure medicinal liquid inside. It only took Master Xing Yun 20 minutes to completely refine 20 sets of medicinal ingredients. Go in. After refining 20 sets of medicinal ingredients, Master Xing Yun threw the starry sky petal into the cauldron. He waved both of his hands and the raging flame quickly burned the bottom of the cauldron. Kai kai. Following the gradual roasting of the flames, the temperature at the bottom of the pill furnace rose higher and higher. In the end, it even emitted a sizzling sound. And the starry sky flower petal inside the pill furnace, under such a high temperature, also turned into a drop of crystal clear liquid. All of you, go in. Sensing the change in the starry sky petals, Grandmaster Xing Yun hurriedly threw the 20 jade bottles into the furnace. His powerful soul force also entered the furnace. Catcher. As soon as the 20 jade bottles entered the pill furnace, they exploded together. 20 portions of medicinal liquid were poured into the pill furnace. If someone was in the pill furnace at this moment, they would definitely notice that the drop of liquid formed from the starry petals was actually moving back and forth in the pill furnace. Every time the liquid moved, it would devour a portion of the medicinal liquid. It only took the liquid 5 minutes to completely devour the 20 portions of medicinal liquid. After swallowing 20 portions of medicinal liquid, the liquid instantly turned into the embryonic form of a medicinal pill. Divide. Grandmaster Xing Yun had sharp eyes and quick hands. The moment the liquid turned into the shape of the pill, he hastily used his powerful soul power to split the pill into two, turning it into 2 pills. After successfully splitting the pill into 2, Master Xing Yun slowly exhaled a mouthful of murky air. His eyebrows revealed a look of relief. The formation of 2 pill embryonic forms meant that there was a 50% chance of refining 2 pills. But even so, Master Xing Yun didn't let his guard down. He was still refining carefully. The closer he got to the end, the more careful he had to be. At this moment, Master Xing Yun was even more nervous than before. It seems like Grandmaster Xing Yun will be able to increase his soul power to the Emperor realm soon. Master Xing Yun was wholeheartedly refining pills, but Ning Yu's attention was on Master Xing Yun. Originally, the strength of Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul force was at the level of liquid into Dan. After the decline of Nebula Academy, the establishment of Supreme Palace, and the continuous refining of these heaven-defying Dan, Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul force had reached the level of liquid into Dan. Under the heavy pressure, Master Xing Yun was about to break through. Ning Yu was clear that if Master Xing Yun made a breakthrough, not only would his soul force reach the Emperor realm, his cultivation might even reach the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Drip. Drip. Time passed by quickly. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. When the first minute of the second hour arrived, Master Xing Yun slapped the furnace with his right hand. Bang! Suddenly, the pill lid flew up and 2 round pills shot out from the pill furnace. Where are you going? Both of Grandmaster Xing Yun's feet landed on the ground. In an instant, he grabbed the 2 pills in his hands. Voila! From afar, Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang saw that Grandmaster Xing Yun had successfully concocted the pill. They didn't care about being a protector anymore and hurriedly flew over, staring at Grandmaster Xing Yun. However, under the blazing gazes of Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang, Grandmaster Xing Yun slowly came before Ning Yu and handed the 2 pills over to Ning Yu. Rest for a while. We'll continue our journey 10 minutes later. Ning Yu received the 2 pills and threw them into his interspatial ring. At the same time, he told Grandmaster Xing Yun to rest as soon as possible. As for Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang's blazing gazes, Ning Yu wasn't concerned about it. The elixir must be in his hand. Ning Yu understood this logic. It was fine if he handed the elixir to Xie Ziyi, but it would be a problem if he handed it to Guo Liang. After all, Xie Ziyi's life was in Ning Yu's hands. As for Guo Liang, He was only trying to get rid of the poison in his body. Therefore, even if he handed the elixir over, it would be given to Xie and not Guoliang. What do you mean by this? Seeing that Ning Yu accepted the elixir, Guoliang's expression turned ugly. He said in a deep voice, "This is the Moling mountain range. If you give us the elixir, we'll be able to deal with any danger. You must give us an explanation for what you're doing now. What you said is not without reason." Ning Yu pondered for a moment. Then, he flicked his wrist and threw one of the elixirs to Xie. He said, "If there's any danger, swallow the elixir immediately. We'll buy you a few seconds to refine the elixir." Slap. Xie's eyes were blazing as he caught the elixir. One elixir meant 10 minutes for him to act recklessly. How could Xie not be excited? Although he was excited, Xie didn't let it get to his head. He knew what Ning Yu's intention in giving him the pill was. After sorting out his thoughts, Xie said to Guoliang, "Guoliang, don't you trust me? With me around, you won't be in danger." At this moment, Xie was acting righteously, as if he was willing to do anything for his brother. "All right." Guoliang's gaze swept over Xie, then looked at Ning Yu. "In the end," he said helplessly, "with Xie around, I can rest assured." "Oh right, where are we going now?" Seeing that Guoliang was no longer complaining, Xie turned to look at Ning Yu and asked, "Are we going to the valley or the deepest part of the Moling mountain range as the nine-tailed demon fox said?" "To the valley," the nine-tailed demon fox said. Ning Yu said without hesitation. In fact, Ning Yu knew better than anyone that if they left now, the nine-tailed demon fox would definitely be able to find them by following their scent. After all, he didn't know the nine-tailed fox clan's influence in the Moling mountain range. So, Ning Yu decided to go to the valley first and think about it later. In any case, Grandmaster Xingyun had refined 2 elixirs. If the nine-tailed fox clan dared to plot against him, he didn't mind letting Xie make a move and completely eradicate the nine-tailed fox clan. "If the enemy doesn't offend me, I won't offend them. If the enemy offends me, I will return it tenfold." This was Ning Yu's code of conduct. 10 minutes passed quickly. 10 minutes later, the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada walked at the front. In the middle were Ning Yu, Grandmaster Zhao, and Grandmaster Xingyun. As for the back, it was Master Ji Mo and Xie. The reason why Ning Yu chose to put Xie and Guoliang at the back was because he didn't know what dangers lay ahead. With this arrangement, even if they encountered danger, the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada could hold them off and buy time for Xie to refine the elixir. Buzz. But what Ning Yu and the others didn't know was, not long after they left, the space in this area suddenly cracked. Chapter 1609. Chapter 1609. Chapter 1609. The most beautiful manher jet black hair, crescent-shaped eyebrows, delicate nose, and graceful figure were all dazzling and mesmerizing. However, the nine-tailed fox's face was slightly pale, and even its breath was slightly weak. "I will definitely take revenge for this." The nine-tailed fox clenched her fists tightly as an expression of extreme hatred appeared on her face. The nine-tailed fox still felt a lingering fear when she recalled the earlier battle. If it weren't for the 8 nine-tailed foxes risking their lives to resist, she definitely wouldn't have been able to escape from the big-eyed demonic beast. In order to cover her escape, the fate of the other 8 nine-tailed foxes could be imagined. They definitely did not have a good ending. With the ferocity of the big-eyed demonic beast, it was destined to kill all 8 of the nine-tailed foxes. "I must return to the valley as soon as possible." The nine-tailed fox spirit was not an indecisive fox. In fact, if she did not return to the valley as soon as possible, the entire nine-tailed fox clan would face a calamity when the large-eyed demonic beast arrive. Whoosh! With both feet on the ground, the nine-tailed fox's body turned into an afterimage and disappeared in an instant. Foxman Valley was located in the depths of the Moling mountain range, surrounded by mountains. Because Foxman Valley was surrounded by mountains, it had a special geographical location. There was only one way to enter Foxman Valley, and that was to enter from the entrance. The entrance to Foxman Valley was extremely narrow, and it could only fit one person at a time. Therefore, Foxman Valley was easy to defend and hard to attack. As long as one expert stood guard at the entrance, it would be very difficult for others to enter. Voila! At that moment, the void not far from Foxman Valley suddenly split open, and a group of people appeared. Without a doubt, these people were Ningyu and the others. Ever since Grandmaster Xingyun refined the 2 pills, Ningyu and the others had been advancing non-stop. Finally, hard work paid off. After searching for half an hour, Ningyu and the others found the valley that the 9-tailed fox had mentioned. However, Ningyu did not foolishly follow the 9-tailed fox's instructions and tossed the star sky flower into the valley. Instead, he stayed near the valley. Grandmaster Xingyun, try to find out how many 9-tailed demon foxes there are in this valley. Ningyu looked at the valley and said to Grandmaster Xingyun. Shio. Master Xingyun released his perception and carefully probed the valley. After a while, Master Xingyun retracted his perception and his face turned grave. There are only 3 9-tailed foxes above the heavenly sovereign realm in the valley. 2 are late phase heavenly sovereigns, and 1 is a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. You're right. There are 3 heavenly sovereigns in the valley. However, before Grandmaster Xingyun could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by an indifferent voice. Buzz. Then, a space not far from Grandmaster Xingyun suddenly split open and a man stepped out. Beautiful. If there was one word to describe this man, it would be beautiful. To describe it with one word, it was absolutely beautiful. Ever since his rebirth, Ningyu had never seen such a beautiful man. The 9-tailed fox clan is indeed extraordinary. Ningyu didn't frown. He vaguely felt that he would gain a lot from this trip to the valley. Regarding Ningyu's inner thoughts, the absolute beauty didn't want to ask. He moved his feet and appeared in front of Ningyu in 3 steps. He extended his right hand and said, "Your mission is over. Hand over the starflower and leave." Ningyu didn't take out the starflower immediately. He was thinking of a countermeasure. The man's cultivation was only at the late phase heavenly supreme. Although his cultivation was high, Ningyu wasn't afraid. After all, Xie was a pinnacle heavenly supreme. If Xie made a move, he would be able to take down the man quickly. However, Ningyu didn't plan to do that. Because Ningyu wanted to enter the valley, Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "The 9-tailed fox who gave me the starflower told me to wait for her here. If she doesn't come, I won't give it to anyone." Yes. The man's face darkened when he heard Ningyu's reply. The man had long since made up his mind that he had to get his hands on the starflower. The matter of the starflower was of utmost importance. It concerned whether or not he could control the entire 9-tailed fox clan. In truth, the matter of the large-eyed yarrow beast chasing after the 9-tailed fox was a secret leaked by the man. He wanted to join forces with the large-eyed yarrow beast to kill the 9-tailed fox. As a condition, the man was willing to give up 8 9-tailed foxes at the Sky Supreme Realm, and the large-eyed yarrow beast had to give him the starflower. Just over an hour ago, the large-eyed yarrow beast had used a secret technique to tell the man that the starflower had been taken by someone else and that he had to think of a way to intercept it. The man's plan was simple. First, he would snatch the Star Heaven flower, then kill Ningyu and the others. Now that Ningyu didn't know how to appreciate his kindness, the man was naturally furious. "Since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, I'll kill all of you today." The man snorted coldly and unleashed his aura. At the same time, he charged at Ningyu. The man was a late-stage Sky Supreme. Ningyu definitely wouldn't be able to block his all-out attack. So when he saw the man about to strike Ningyu's chest, Xie opened his mouth wide and hurriedly threw the pill in. "Don't." Xie had just thrown the pill into his mouth, but before he could even refine it, Ningyu's anxious voice rang out in his ear. "Good steel should be used on the blade's edge. Now is not a time of life and death. You must listen to my orders. Without my permission, don't swallow the pill on your own." Ningyu hurriedly stopped Xie when he saw that Xie wanted to swallow the pill to increase his strength. After stopping Xie, Ningyu took out the Star Sky flower from his storage ring and sniffed it hard. "I advise you to stop. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that the Star Sky flower won't be damaged," Ningyu said. Ningyu's bold move directly stunned the absolutely beautiful man on the spot. The killing intent in the man's eyes didn't weaken. Instead, it became more and more intense. From the actions of the pillously beautiful man, everyone knew that Ningyu was doomed. It had to be said that Ningyu did have some guts to threaten a late-stage Sky Supreme with the Starflower. Wait. Finally, the killing intent in the man's eyes completely disappeared. The Starflower was something that the man had to obtain. Whether or not he could obtain the Starflower would determine whether or not he could rule over Foxman Valley. What are your conditions? Why don't you tell me? The man waved his hand. As long as you give me the Starflower, I can swear a heavenly Tao oath and let you go. Sorry, I don't want to leave anymore. Chapter 1610. Chapter 1610, Green Fox O? The man raised his eyebrows, as if he was surprised by Ningyu's courage. In his opinion, the Golden Arowana King was the one with the highest cultivation among Ningyu's group. But even the Golden Arowana King was only a 9th grade Earth Supreme, not even a Heavenly Supreme. The man couldn't understand why Ningyu wanted to enter the valley. Of course, Xie Ziyi and Guoliang were both pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. Even if they didn't consume any elixirs, the man wouldn't be able to detect them if they wanted to hide their auras. In the man's mind, Xie Ziyi and Guoliang were only ordinary 9th grade Earth sovereigns, nothing to be afraid of. You want to enter the Foxman Valley? The man stared at Ningyu with interest. Think about it carefully. The Foxman Valley is an important place for the Nine-tailed Fox clan. No human or demonic beast other than the Nine-tailed Fox clan has ever entered it. Aren't you afraid that I'll do something to you inside? Of course I'm afraid. Ningyu shrugged. But I have the Starsky flower, so you won't dare to do anything to me. If you do, I'll destroy the flower immediately. As he spoke, Ningyu exerted some force in his right hand, as if he wanted to crush the flower. No, don't. Please don't. Ningyu's action shocked the man. It didn't matter if the flower was destroyed. After all, the man wasn't concerned about the flower, but what was inside it. As expected of a late-stage Heavenly Supreme Nine-tailed Fox clan, the man was afraid of arousing Ningyu's suspicion. The pinnacle Heavenly Supreme of the Nine-tailed Fox clan is heavily injured and urgently needs the Starsky flower to heal. So, please don't destroy it. Did the sun rise from the west? Ningyu frowned slightly at the man's anxious words. He had a feeling that things weren't that simple. Sapling, carefully inspect the Starsky flower for me and see what secrets it has. With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu threw the Starsky flower into his storage ring. Then, he extended his right hand and pointed at the entrance of Foxman Valley. Please. Although he was very angry in his heart, the beautiful man still had to pretend to be hospitable. If he could obtain the Starsky flower, the absolute beauty would have a high chance of controlling Foxman Valley. If he couldn't obtain it, then Foxman Valley would most likely be taken by his rival, the nine-tailed demon fox. I must obtain the Starsky flower and then grind your bones to dust. The beautiful man looked at the backs of Ningyu and the others, and his face turned ashen. However, for the sake of the big picture, the beautiful man decided to endure the humiliation and wait until they entered Foxman Valley. Shio. As soon as he entered Foxman Valley, Ningyu felt a cold light coming at him. Without much time to think, Ningyu quickly moved his head to the other side. Kai. A cold glint flashed across Ningyu's face, and with an extremely terrifying speed, he rushed towards the beautiful man at the back. Not good. The sudden change in events caused the heart of the pillously beautiful man to tremble, and he cried out in his heart. With a flick of his wrist, a cold light flew out from his sleeve and collided with the first cold light. The two beams of cold light collided and quickly dissipated between the heavens and earth. Another late-stage Heavenly Supreme Nine-tailed Demon Fox. Ningyu looked to the front, only to see a beautiful figure appear before him. The cultivator who attacked him with the cold light was this late-stage Heavenly Supreme Nine-tailed Demon Fox. She was different from the beautiful man. The beautiful man was a man, but this late-stage Heavenly Supreme Nine-tailed Demon Fox was a woman. Green Fox, what do you want? Seeing the late-stage Heavenly Supreme Nine-tailed Demon Fox blocking their way, the beautiful man clenched his fists and his face turned sinister. These are my invited guests. Get lost. Haha, Black Fox, Do you have any proof that you invited them? The nine-tailed fox, who was called Green Fox, smiled and said, "These are obviously guests invited by my sister. I hope you know your place." You. Black Fox's nose was crooked from anger. He and Ching, who were both late phase heavenly sovereigns, but compared to the latter, he was much weaker. If they were to fight, he wasn't confident in defeating Green Fox. "What about you? Go somewhere cool and stay there." Ching, who glared fiercely at Ink Fox, and then looked at Ningyu and the others. She smiled and said, "Please follow me." Without waiting for Ningyu's reply, Green Fox turned and walked into the depths of Foxman Valley. Seeing Green Fox leave, the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others looked at each other, then at Ningyu. The Golden Arowana Fish King and the others could tell that Green Fox was also a late-stage Heavenly Supreme. Compared to Black Fox, the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others wanted to go with Green Fox. "Are we going or not?" The Golden Arowana Fish King asked hesitantly as he watched Azure Fox's figure disappear into the distance. "Be careful." Ningyu patted the Golden Arowana Fish King's shoulder and said to Black Fox, "What are you waiting for? You're the host here. Do you want me to lead the way?" Ink, who was slightly stunned when he heard Ningyu's words, and he felt that it was slightly unbelievable. Wasn't Ningyu related to Green Fox's big sister? Why would she choose to be with him? All kinds of questions arose in Black Fox's mind. But soon, Black Fox threw these questions to the back of his mind. Since Ningyu had decided to be with him, he had a chance to snatch the starry sky flower. "Let's go." Ink Fox sorted out his thoughts and then moved his feet. He quickly walked into Foxman Valley. Damn it. Green Fox stopped in the distance, her face extremely gloomy. She was furious that Ningyu had chosen Black Fox instead of her. After all, she had boasted to her sister not long ago. Now that Ningyu had left with the starry sky flower and Black Fox, she was naturally furious. "I don't believe it. Today, I will definitely." Green Fox clenched her fists and said coldly. However, Ching Hu had only spoken halfway when she stopped abruptly. After that, Ching Hu could not be bothered with Ningyu anymore. Her figure flickered and disappeared in an instant. Green Fox left Foxman Valley, while Black Fox brought Ningyu and the others to a pavilion. "You can rest in this pavilion. I have an important matter to attend to." Ink Fox pointed at the pavilion, which was not too big, and said, "I will definitely be back in 10 minutes. "It's fine. Go ahead and do what you need to do. We'll rest in the pavilion for a while." Ningyu waved his hand and stepped out with his right foot, walking towards the pavilion step by step. Go in, go in. Chapter 16:11. A precious thing, oh right. However, when Ningyu was one step away from the pavilion, he suddenly stopped. Turning to look at Ink, who, Ningyu said, "There are a total of 3 heavenly sovereigns in this valley. One is you, another is the nine-tailed fox, and the last one is a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. I wonder if we can go and meet him." Damn it. Seeing that Ningyu had stopped in his tracks, Ink Fox was so angry that he cursed. He had arranged everything, and it could be said that everything was ready except for the right thing. As long as Ningyu stepped into the pavilion, he would immediately activate the array and trap Ningyu inside. But now, not only did Ningyu not enter the pavilion, he even wanted to meet a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Ink Fox was so angry that his nose became crooked. Although he was angry, Ink Fox still smiled obsequiously on the surface and said, "I might not be able to see the ancestor today. How about this, all of you rest here tonight. Tomorrow morning, I will immediately bring all of you to see the ancestor." "As you wish." Ningyu waved his hand and said, "If there's nothing else, you can go now. We're tired from the long journey and need to rest." "No problem." Although he wanted to kill Ningyu immediately, he had no choice but to endure it. The starry heaven flower was in Ningyu's hands, so Ink Fox did not dare to do anything. Voila! In the next moment, Ink Fox's figure gradually became illusory, and he vanished in the blink of an eye. "Everyone, stay where you are." After Ink Fox disappeared, Ningyu immediately sat on the ground and slowly closed his eyes. Since even Ningyu had sat down cross-legged, the other Golden Arowana Fish Kings naturally didn't dare to be negligent. They all sat on the ground and closed their eyes to rest like Ningyu. This doesn't make sense. How could they know that there is a formation in the pavilion? In the void, Inku did not leave. He had been watching Ning Yu's every move. Ink Fox had spent a lot of effort to set up the formation in the pavilion. When setting up the array formation, Inku's idea was very simple. He wanted to use the array formation to trap the upper echelons of Foxman Valley. Now, he had lured Ning Yu and the others here to obtain the Starsky flower. Let's wait a little longer. Ink Fox's eyes were fixed on Ning Yu. He wanted to see what Ning Yu was up to. For a moment, the area became quiet. Whoosh. 10 minutes later. A soft voice traveled into Inku's ears. I can't believe it. The voice that rang in Inku's ears caused his expression to change drastically. He could not help but curse. Inku didn't have time to think. He immediately tore open the void and left without looking back. Who? Ning Yu and the others heaved a sigh of relief when Ink Fox left completely. To be honest, it was a little difficult to pretend to be calm in front of Ink Fox. No matter what, Ink Fox was a late-stage Sky Supreme, so he still felt some pressure. Grandmaster Zhao, are you confident that you can break this array formation? Ning Yu pointed at the pavilion in front of him and asked. Grandmaster Zhao did not answer Ning Yu immediately. Instead, he released his perception and began to probe the array formation in the pavilion. No one disturbed Grandmaster Zhao while he was probing. 5 minutes later, Grandmaster Zhao's expression was solemn as he said to Ning Yu, I need at least 3 hours to completely break the array formation. No, 3 hours is too long. Ning Yu shook his head. Can you hurry up? Half an hour. You only have half an hour. Half an hour is fine, but I can't break the array formation in half an hour. I can only change the structure of the array formation and turn it into another array formation, Grandmaster Zhao said. Why didn't you say so earlier? Hearing Grandmaster Zhao's words, Ning Yu rolled his eyes. Quickly change the structure of the array formation and turn it into another array formation. No problem. Grandmaster Zhao did not argue with Ning Yu. He first walked around the pavilion, then waved his hands. In an instant, 2 cold rays shot out from his sleeves and charged towards the pavilion. Sizzle. Without a doubt, a transparent barrier appeared around the pavilion before the cold rays even entered. Under the obstruction of the barrier, the cold rays were quickly defeated. I need the help of the Golden Arowana Fish King and the rest. Grandmaster Zhao stared at the barrier and said, have them attack the 3 barriers with all their might to buy me some time. Go. Ning Yu pointed at the pavilion with his right hand. Swish. The Golden Arowana Fish King, Bada, and Chimo each took a side and attacked the barrier according to Grandmaster Zhao's instructions. Crack. Even though the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada were all pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns, their attacks couldn't break the barrier. Even though they couldn't break the barrier, they did buy Grandmaster Zhao some time. Grandmaster Zhao stopped in front of the barrier that wasn't attacked and formed seals with both hands, changing the structure of the array. Grandmaster Zhao is indeed a talent. After this trip to the Moling mountain range, I'll think of a way to rescue his granddaughter and make her join the Supreme Palace wholeheartedly. Looking at Grandmaster Zhao changing the structure of the array, Ning Yu secretly made up his mind to tie Grandmaster Zhao to him no matter what. Grandmaster Zhao's attainments in array formations could be described as heaven-defying. In fact, Ning Yu was planning to hand over the miscellaneous sacred scripture that he obtained from the Great Xia Kingdom's Zhong clan, the chapter on array formations in the Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll, to Master Zhao, allowing Master Zhao's attainments in array formations to improve further. Ever since he obtained the Ghost Hatchet Godly Scroll, Ning Yu didn't have much time to study it. On one hand, Ning Yu's soul force wasn't too strong. On the other hand, Ning Yu knew that he was weak. If he recklessly exposed the Ghost Hatchet Godly Scroll, it might bring him a fatal disaster. But it was different now. Ning Yu had established the Supreme Palace. There were pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns like the Golden Arowana Fish King, Bada, and Dao Master Jimo. There were also pinnacle Sky Sovereigns like Xie and Guoliang. At this time, even if he exposed the Ghost Hatchet Godly Scroll, it wouldn't matter. He didn't have to worry about anyone spying on him. After sorting out his thoughts, Ning Yu didn't think too much about it and started to contact the sapling. Not long ago, Ningyu threw the star sky flower into his spatial ring and instructed the sapling to carefully detect the star sky flower. With the sapling's ability, it should be able to detect the star sky flower after such a long time. Sapling, what exactly is inside the star sky flower? Ningyu didn't beat around the bush and asked directly. There is something, and it's something extremely precious. The sapling's expression became extremely solemn when it heard Ningyu, and it said in a low voice, however, with your current strength, you won't be able to suppress it even if you withdraw the thing within the star sky flower. Oh! Ningyu's brows twitched. I know that it's hard for me to suppress it, but you're a 6th grade Earth Sovereign. Even you can't suppress it. Chapter 1612. Chapter 1612, A Golden Key. Don't talk nonsense. Just tell me honestly what's inside the star sky flower, Chen Feng said coldly. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, we're in a very dangerous situation right now. There are 2 factions in Foxman Valley, the Green Fox faction and the Black Fox faction. Both factions want the star sky flower and what's inside. If we can get our hands on what's inside the star sky flower, we can think of a way to leave right now. Hearing Ningyu's words, one of the sapling's golden branches shook in the storage ring and said grumpily, do you think I don't want to get my hands on what's inside the star sky flower? I'm even more anxious than you are. Since you want to know what's inside the star sky flower, fine, I'll tell you. There's a key inside the star sky flower, a golden key. A key? Ningyu was slightly taken aback, feeling a little confused. Didn't they say that the thing inside the star sky flower was extremely precious? Was a key that precious? Right. Suddenly, Ningyu slapped his head and transmitted his voice to the sapling. I can throw the star sky flower into the Tower of Ascension and use that senior at the top of the Tower of Ascension to retrieve the key. No, please don't. The sapling hurriedly stopped him. The key inside the star sky flower is of great importance. We must hold it firmly in our hands. The sapling did not trust the powerhouse at the top of the Tower of Ascension very much. From the sapling's point of view, if that powerhouse was willing to give a heaven-defying magic treasure like the Tower of Ascension to Ningyu, it meant that he was most likely up to no good. The sapling did not want to take the risk. Then what do you think we should do? Ningyu asked. How about this? I'll take a small loss. I'm willing to give up 2 golden branches to help you retrieve the key. The sapling seemed to have made a big decision and said, 3 hours. You must buy me 3 hours. Buzz buzz. As soon as it finished speaking, the sapling vanished without a trace, disappearing along with the star sky flower. Ningyu withdrew his perception skeptically, a puzzled look on his face. Ningyu did not dare to fully believe the sapling's words. What a load of bullshit. If 2 out of 10 things that came out of the sapling's mouth could be trusted, it was already good enough. In Ningyu's opinion, this time would not be an exception. One must know that abandoning the 2 branches meant that the sapling's cultivation would drop from the 6th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. In addition, the sapling had never suffered a loss before, so Ningyu believed that the key in the star sky flower was definitely not simple. Voila! As soon as Ningyu disconnected from the sapling, Master Zhao in the distance saw the results. Grandmaster Zhao waved his hands quickly and an endless stream of yuan qi flowed from his palms into the array in the pavilion. He began to carefully change the structure of the array. Master Zhao was indeed a peak array master. With the help of the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others, it only took him 20 minutes to completely change the structure of the array formation in the pavilion. Are you done? Seeing that Master Zhao had changed the structure of the formation, Ningyu asked. There's still 3 minutes left. Grandmaster Zhao's expression was solemn and he did not relax in the slightest. Even if the structure of the array was changed, Grandmaster Zhao still had not taken control of the new array. In order to take control of the new array, Grandmaster Zhao could only stretch out his right hand and hit his chest. Fart! A mouthful of blood spurted out from Grandmaster Zhao's mouth and onto the array in the pavilion. As soon as the blood came in contact with the array, a sizzling sound was heard. Soon, the blood turned into gas and fused with the new array. Phew! When the blood completely fused with the new array, Grandmaster Zhao opened his mouth and let out a long breath. Ever since Ning Yu established the Supreme Palace and made Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang listen to him, Grandmaster Zhao had secretly made up his mind to help Ning Yu as much as possible. Because only if Ning Yu mobilized the upper echelons of the Supreme Palace, he would have a high chance of saving his granddaughter. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died if he relied on himself. How is it? Seeing Grandmaster Zhao's expression, Ning Yu hurriedly asked. To Ning Yu, whether Grandmaster Zhao could control the new array or not was of great significance. Ink Fox and Green Fox were both late-stage Sky Supreme nine-tailed foxes. If the two fought, one would definitely be injured. If Grandmaster Zhao could control the array, then they could hide in the array and watch the tigers fight. Of course, that was on the premise that they would really fight. No problem. This array is completely under my control now. Grandmaster Zhao nodded and pointed at the array in the pavilion. This array is called the Annihilation Killing Array. It can block a full-powered attack from a late-stage Sky Supreme. Grandmaster Zhao's tone was a little arrogant. Grandmaster Zhao did have the right to be arrogant by modifying an array that was several grades lower than the Annihilation Killing Array into the Annihilation Killing Array. Back in the central mainland, Grandmaster Zhao had once used 3 days to set up a super-powerful killing array that killed hundreds of Demon Spirit Realm Sky Supremes and Earth Supremes in one fell swoop. It was that battle that made the Demon Spirit Realm experts remember Grandmaster Zhao's name. They decided to send Grandmaster Zhao to the Moling Mountain Range to rescue the peerless Demon Spirit Realm experts. Alright, let's enter the pavilion first. Since Grandmaster Zhao had already controlled the new array, which meant that he had complete control over the Annihilation Killing Array, there was no point for Ning Yu to stay outside the pavilion. He moved his feet and entered the pavilion first. Whoosh! After Ning Yu entered the pavilion, the Golden Arowana King and the others also entered the pavilion. Grandmaster Zhao, does the Annihilation Killing Array have a total of 4 array cores? As he stood within the pergola, Ning Yu first stretched out his perception to slightly probe the structure of the World Obliteration Slaughter Formation, and then he said, one of them is the main formation core, the other 2 are auxiliary formation cores, and the last one is a fake formation core. How do you know? Grandmaster Zhao's heart trembled as he looked at Ning Yu in disbelief. The Annihilation Killing Array was an ancient array. There were very few cultivators who knew the structure of the Annihilation Killing Array. The reason why Grandmaster Zhao knew about the Annihilation Killing Array was because he had flipped through ancient records in the central mainland. He knew the structure of many killing arrays. The fact that Ning Yu knew about the structure of the Annihilation Killing Array had indeed exceeded Grandmaster Zhao's expectations. You don't need to know how I know. Just tell me if the Annihilation Killing Array has 4 array cores. Ning Yu wasn't very sure either. In his previous life, he had only heard about the structure of the Annihilation Killing Array from an expert. He didn't know much about the specifics. That's right. There are indeed 4 array cores. Grandmaster Zhao nodded. One is the main array core. I will guard it. The other auxiliary array core and fake array core can change positions at any time. There's no need to guard, rumble. However, before Master Zhao could finish his sentence, he stopped abruptly. Chapter 1613. Chapter 1613, gathering in the pavilion so many people. Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat when he saw the sudden appearance of several figures. He vaguely felt that things weren't that simple. There were a total of 4 forces in the north, south, east, and west. The force in the east was led by Black Fox, with 4 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns behind him. The force in the south was led by a quasi-heavenly Supreme, with 4 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns behind him. There were only 3 silhouettes on the west side of the pavilion, but they were all pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns. Ning Yu was very familiar with the forces in the north. The ones leading them were Azure Fox and the 9-tailed Fox who gave him the Starsky Flower. The gazes of the 4 forces all fell on Ning Yu, but no one dared to act rashly. For a moment, the area became strange. Grandmaster Zhao, how confident are you in trapping their leader with the Annihilation Killing Formation? Since Black Fox and the others didn't speak, Ning Yu naturally wouldn't break the silence. He circulated his soul force and started to transmit his voice to Grandmaster Zhao. I'm not confident at all. Grandmaster Zhao answered without hesitation, the annihilation-killing formation can withstand a fatal blow from a late Heavenly Supreme. The other side has 2 late Heavenly Sovereigns, 3 pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereigns, and 1 quasi-Heavenly Supreme. If they attack the annihilation-killing formation with all their strength, it's very likely that it will be broken within 3 minutes. Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. The annihilation-killing formation must not be broken, otherwise, they would be doomed today. Ningyu had no choice but to break the silence and loudly said, "Since you've come from afar, why don't you come in and have a chat?" "No problem." As soon as Ningyu's voice landed, Azure Fox and the Nine-tailed Fox moved and entered the pavilion from the north. Whoosh! Seeing Azure Fox and the others enter the pavilion, the remaining leaders of the 3 forces also entered the pavilion in a single file. The pavilion, which wasn't particularly spacious, suddenly became a little crowded after 6 or 7 experts entered. "The pavilion is a bit crowded. You guys go out first." Ningyu waved his hand at the Golden Arowana King and the others, gesturing for them to leave. Although they did not know why Ningyu wanted them to leave, the Golden Arowana Fish King, Grandmaster Xingyun, Bada, and Dao Master Jimo still left the pavilion obediently. Only Master Zhao, Xie and Guoliang were left on Ningyu's side. Ink Fox and the other forces occupied one side of the pavilion, pushing Ningyu and the others to the center of the pavilion. "Your name is Ningyu?" In the pavilion, the quasi-heavenly sovereign raised his brows before sweeping his gaze at Ningyu and Xie in disdain. "I advise you to hand over the Star Sky Flower. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." The arrogant words of the quasi-heavenly sovereign made Ningyu a little surprised. Logically speaking, with Ink Fox and Azure Fox around, a quasi-heavenly sovereign like him shouldn't have any authority to speak. However, the Azure Fox and Ink Fox only knitted their brows in response to the quasi-heavenly sovereign's words, but they did not reprimand him. This situation had clearly exceeded Ningyu's expectations. He must have some trump card. From the Azure Fox and Ink Fox's reactions, Ningyu could practically determine that the quasi-heavenly sovereign must have a trump card, and it must be a powerful one at that. Otherwise, the Azure Fox and Ink Fox wouldn't have reacted in such a manner with their late-phase heavenly sovereign cultivations. "If I hand the Star Sky Flower to you, what if the other 3 forces make a move against me?" After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu replied lightly. No matter what trump card the quasi-heavenly sovereign had, Ningyu was fearless. If worse came to worst, he could get Xie to take the elixir and leave the Foxman Valley with them. But before leaving the Foxman Valley, Ningyu would definitely get Xie to wreak havoc in this place. "What does it have to do with me whether they make a move against you or not?" The quasi-heavenly sovereign's expression was cold as he barked, "I'll say it one last time. Hand over the Star Sky Flower, or I'll let you know why flowers are so red." As he spoke, the quasi-heavenly sovereign stretched out his right hand and grabbed at Ningyu. The quasi-heavenly sovereign wasn't stupid. The reason why he made a move against Ningyu was because he wanted to probe Ningyu and see what Ningyu was capable of. As for seizing the Star Sky Flower, half-step Sky Supremes didn't even think about it. Leaving the Star Sky Flower in Ningyu's hands might be the best outcome. Once the quasi-heavenly sovereign took the Star Sky Flower, the other 3 forces would definitely make a move against him. At that time, no matter how powerful his trump cards were, he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat the other 3 forces. Grandmaster Zhao. The quasi-heavenly sovereign wanted to probe Ningyu, but Ningyu didn't think so. Ningyu would never hold back against his enemies. Seeing that the quasi-heavenly sovereign was about to reach him, Ningyu hurriedly sent a spiritual message to Grandmaster Zhao, "Trap this arrogant fellow. Rise." Grandmaster Zhao didn't dare to delay. He waved his hands and the world-annihilating killing array quietly activated. Bang! Once the world-annihilating killing array was activated, Grandmaster Zhao sat in the center of the array and directed the world-annihilating killing array's energy towards the quasi-heavenly sovereign's chest. A crisp sound rang out. The quasi-heavenly sovereign was struck by the violent energy and his silhouette was blown out. Bang! The quasi-heavenly sovereign had just reached the side of the pavilion when he was bounced back by a transparent barrier. Fart! After being tossed back and forth twice, The quasi-heavenly sovereign finally vomited a mouthful of blood and fell heavily to the ground. Damn it! Damn it! This is infuriating. The quasi-heavenly sovereign really was a cockroach that couldn't be killed. He hurriedly crawled up from the ground and first used his perception to probe the situation within his body. Then, he swung his right hand, wanting to use his trump card to deal with Ningyu. Since we're here to discuss, there's no need for such petty tricks. At this moment, the nine-tailed fox, who had handed the star sky flower to Ningyu, spoke. The nine-tailed fox wore a silver-white robe and her hair was coiled up. She seemed to be in high spirits and didn't seem injured at all. Others might not be able to tell, but Ningyu could. Although the nine-tailed fox appeared to be in high spirits, that wasn't the case. Her internal injuries were already beyond cure. If they weren't treated soon, she would soon die. Although Ningyu could tell that the nine-tailed fox was injured, he didn't plan on helping her. After all, among the four forces, the nine-tailed fox also wanted the star sky flower. Before the key to the star sky flower was extracted, Ningyu definitely wouldn't hand it over. Chapter 1614. A chaotic battle. White Fox, do you have the right to speak here? The quasi-heavenly sovereign glared at the white fox and coldly said, the star sky flower belongs to our Foxman Valley, and you actually gave it to an outsider. You deserve death. Boom. A cold voice rang out as the half-step Heaven Supreme unleashed his aura and pressed down on the white fox. Emachem? Ningyu was baffled by the quasi-heavenly sovereign's actions. The white fox was indeed injured, but the azure fox beside her was a late-phase heavenly sovereign. The azure fox would definitely not allow the white fox to be injured. I'm your opponent. But what happened next made Ningyu understand. Just when the azure fox wanted to make a move, the black fox took a step forth and stood before her. Furthermore, the other three pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns also swiftly made a move and faced the azure fox together with the black fox. The black fox wasn't a fool. He wasn't the azure fox's opponent in a one-on-one fight. If he wanted to obstruct the azure fox, he could only do so with the three pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns. Actually, the black fox had already teamed up with the other two forces to deal with the azure fox. Now that the opportunity was here, the black fox naturally wouldn't miss it. While dealing with the azure fox with the three pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns, the black fox formed seals to activate the spiritual array in the pavilion. Because Master Zhao had concealed it well when he activated the spiritual array, the black fox still hadn't noticed it. Therefore, until now, Inku still did not realize that the structure of the formation in the pavilion had been changed. He still foolishly thought that everything was under his control. What? Dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. No matter how hard the black fox tried, he couldn't activate the spiritual array. This situation was clearly out of the black fox's expectations. What's going on? For a moment, Inku was stunned for a second. Boom. It was Ink Fox's momentary daze that gave Green Fox a chance. The azure fox swiftly moved and lashed out with her right leg, which landed on the black fox's chest. A huge force came from his chest, causing Inku's body to fly backward. Master Zhao. Seeing Ink Fox being sent flying, Ningyu said anxiously. Grandmaster Zhao understood and immediately sat in the eye of the formation. He controlled the energy in the World Annihilation Killing formation and attacked Ink Fox from another direction. Poochie. Ink, who had been severely injured by Green Fox's attack, and now he was being attacked by Master Zhao's apocalyptic killing formation. He spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and his face became extremely pale. Banda, if you dare to hurt a single hair on my sister, I'll definitely grind your bones to dust. Green Fox did not kill Black Fox. She wanted to save her sister, White Fox. Although the White Fox was a Sky Supreme, it was heavily injured. If she did not help, there was a high chance that the White Fox would die in Banda's hands. Ha ha ha, you want to grind my bones into dust? You should save some energy to deal with those three guys. Banda threw his head back and laughed. Then, he ignored the Green Fox and focused on dealing with the White Fox. The reason why Banda didn't care about Qinghu was that they had discussed it beforehand. He would deal with the White Fox, and Black Fox and the three-peak 9th grade Earth Supreme martial artists would deal with Qinghu. The three forces would first work together to deal with Qinghu and the White Fox. Then, they would discuss the ownership of the Starry Sky Flower. I can help you deal with them, but I want to know all the secrets about the Starry Sky Flower after we're done. White Fox's eyes were filled with fear and despair as she looked at Banda, who was getting closer and closer to her. However, the despair in White Fox's heart did not last for long. It was broken by a voice that sounded like it was asking for help. No problem. In a moment of desperation, White Fox could not care less. She said hurriedly, "As long as you can save me, everything will be fine. Remember what you said." Ningyu glanced at White Fox indifferently, then turned to Grandmaster Zhao and said, "Stop Banda." Grandmaster Zhao controlled the World Annihilation Killing Formation. Now, he had become a gun in Ningyu's hand, shooting wherever he pointed. Rumble. Under Grandmaster Zhao's control, the World Annihilation Killing Formation was completely activated, and the energy inside began to surge. Whoosh! An extremely violent energy appeared between Banda and the White Fox and blasted towards Banda in one fell swoop. "I'm going to kill him." Banda's expression changed drastically at the sudden change, and he could not help but curse. Although Banda's cultivation was not very high, his perception was very powerful. The energy that was attacking him was extremely powerful. If he was unlucky enough to be hit, he would be crippled even if he did not die. Go. In an instant, Banda made a decision to leave. Swoosh. Banda's figure flashed, and he rushed out of the pavilion at an extremely fast speed. Guo Liang. Seeing that Banda was about to rush out of the pavilion, Ningyu bellowed and said coldly, "Kill him without mercy." Boom. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, Guo Liang's body emitted a terrifying aura. A few minutes ago, Ningyu quietly handed the elixir to Guo Liang and asked him to act according to his intentions. The reason why Ningyu chose to let Guo Liang swallow the medicinal pill and not let Xie Ziyi swallow the medicinal pill was entirely because he had his own considerations. Xie Ziyi obeyed his every command. Guo Liang was different. Ningyu was afraid that when they reached the Saint-grade origin crystal mine, Guo Liang would take the opportunity to steal the Saint-grade origin crystal. Letting Guo Liang consume the elixir now could also prevent some unnecessary trouble later on. Quick, use your trump card. Seeing Guo Liang display the aura of a peak Sky Supreme, Banda, the three-peak 9th grade Earth Supreme warriors, and even Black Fox could not help but shout. When facing a peak Sky Supreme warrior, they could only use their trump card. Otherwise, they would definitely die. Xie Ziyi and White Fox, follow me. Grandmaster Zhao, stay and help Guo Liang and Black Fox. The battle was about to start, and Ningyu did not want to stay. He grabbed the White Fox and quickly rushed out of the pavilion. Rumble. Sure enough, as soon as Ningyu and White Fox left the gazebo, a great battle broke out inside. Banda took out a silver-white jade bottle from his bosom and crushed it with a crack. The white liquid in the jade bottle entered Banda's mouth. As the white liquid entered his stomach, Banda's cultivation instantly soared. In a short period of time, he actually reached the late-phase Sky Supreme realm from a half-step Sky Supreme realm. The three-peak 9th grade Earth Sovereign's actions were similar to Banda's. Each of them took out a jade bottle and poured the elixir in it into their mouths. In just a few seconds, the cultivation of the three-peak 9th grade Earth Sovereigns began to soar, reaching the late-phase Sky Supreme realm in a short period of time. The battle in the pavilion was very clear. White Fox blocked Black Fox, while Banda and the three-peak 9th grade Earth Sovereigns joined hands to deal with Guo Liang. Chapter 1615. Rumble. Rumble. As a huge battle broke out in the pavilion, the flames of war raged outside as well. The 4 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns brought by Black Fox and the 4 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns brought by 3 pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns joined forces to attack Ningyu's party. A total of 8 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns charged at Ningyu from all directions in an attempt to eliminate the culprit, Ningyu. "All of you, get out of my way." With the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada around, how could they allow Ningyu to be harmed? Master Ji Mo and Master Xingyun stayed by Ningyu's side to prevent any accidents. The Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada fought with the 8 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns with all their might. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. Seeing the battle between the Golden Arowana Fish King and the 8 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns, White Fox hurriedly said to Ningyu, as long as we hand the Star Sky Flower over to the Foxman Valley's ancestor, this battle can be stopped. Why do we have to stop this battle? Ningyu did not leave with the White Fox. Instead, he revealed a puzzled expression and said, since we've joined forces, we've already gained an absolute advantage. In at most 10 minutes, Black Fox and the others will be completely annihilated. What do you mean by leaving now? This, seeing Ningyu's confidence, White Fox did not know what to say. In White Fox's heart, he did not think highly of Ningyu. The late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns of Foxman Valley were all powerful. White Fox did not believe that the 2 pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns that Ningyu brought with him could deal with 8 late 9th grade Earth Sovereigns. Stop this and that. Hurry up and tell me what's inside the Star Sky Flower. Ningyu waved his hand and said, you promised me that if I save you, you'll tell me what's inside the Star Sky Flower. There is a golden key inside the Star Sky Flower. The White Fox first looked at the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada, who were fighting the 8 late phase 9th grade Earth Sovereigns. When she saw that the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada had the upper hand, she said, that golden key is extremely important to my nine-tailed fox clan. You have to hand it over to me, or the consequences will be unimaginable. What do you have in exchange? Ningyu ignored the second half of the White Fox's sentence. He stared at the White Fox and asked with interest. As long as you give me the key to the Star Sky Flower, I can promise you 3 things. Anything. In order to obtain the key, the White Fox gritted his teeth. At this moment, the White Fox's appearance was lovely and moving. Anyone who saw her would feel pity for her. Bewitching technique. If it was someone else, they might have been tempted by the White Fox's charm technique. However, Ningyu was different. He had lived 2 lives, so his willpower was extremely calm. A mere bewitching technique was unable to entice him. Ningyu coldly snorted, I see that you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The rage in Ningyu's eyes made the White Fox's heart jolt. She was currently a prisoner, and if she provoked Ningyu, she would definitely suffer. Rustle. Just thinking about it, the White Fox immediately retracted her bewitching technique and said to Ningyu, I can pay any price. I don't want to take advantage of you. Ningyu briefly pondered before he continued, I heard that the Nine-tailed Fox clan has a pearl, and I want that pearl. What? You want the Nine-tailed pearl? This time, the White Fox's face drastically changed. The Nine-tailed pearl was the ultimate treasure of the Nine-tailed Fox clan. Legend has it that the Nine-tailed pearl could regenerate flesh and bones from the dead. Even if someone had already breathed their last, the Nine-tailed pearl could still be used to revive them. Of course, the reason why the Nine-tailed pearl was so powerful was that every clan leader of the Nine-tailed Fox clan would inject all of their essence, vitality, and spirit into the Nine-tailed pearl before they passed away. Strictly speaking, not only could the Nine-tailed pearl regenerate flesh and bones from the dead, but it could also speed up one's cultivation. Martial artists who wore the Nine-tailed pearl could achieve twice the results with half the effort in their cultivation. The Nine-tailed pearl in exchange for the Starry Sky Flower. That's my condition. Ningyu was very smart. He was talking about exchanging the Starry Sky Flower for the Nine-tailed pearl, and not the golden medicine key for the Nine-tailed pearl. After all, the sapling had boasted that the golden medicine key was extremely powerful, and Ningyu did not want such an ultimate treasure to fall into the hands of the Nine-tailed Fox clan. After some time, the sapling would definitely be able to get the golden key. Therefore, there was no problem in reaching an agreement with the White Fox now. Deal. The White Fox seemed to have made up her mind as she gritted her teeth, I'll bring you to the Nine-tailed pearl now. As she spoke, the White Fox began to move, intending to leave. Hold it. Ningyu rolled his eyes when he saw that White Fox was about to leave. He snappily said, I will only go with you to obtain the Nine-tailed pearl after the big battle ends. As for now, the show has just begun. Poof. When Ningyu finished his words, there were casualties on the battlefield. The golden arowana fish king threw a punch that landed on the heart of a late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereign before him. The golden arowana fish king's punch was so powerful that it knocked out a late-stage 9th grade Earth supreme. Rustle. In that instant, the faces of the remaining 7 late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereigns drastically changed. Although the golden arowana fish king did not kill that late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereign with a single punch, it still caused the other 7 late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereigns to feel fearful. From the previous confrontation, they already knew how powerful the golden arowana fish king and Bada were. If they continued to fight, there was a high chance that they would be heavily injured like that comrade of theirs. Call for help. The 7 late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereigns exchanged a look before their silhouettes flickered and flew in different directions. As long as there's life, there's hope. Furthermore, this was the Foxman Valley, and they could take turns to kill the golden arowana fish king and Bada Chimo. You go as well. You must deal with them as soon as possible. I don't want to see any accidents. Ningyu waved his hand and signaled for Chimo to join the battle as well. Rustle. In fact, Chimo had long wanted to make a move. He knew better than anyone that the reason why the golden arowana fish king did not kill that late-phase 9th grade Earth sovereign was because he wanted to capture him alive to strengthen his branch hall. Under the Supreme Palace, the golden arowana fish king and Bada's branch hall were the strongest. After all, one was a golden arowana, while the other was a bloodthirsty berserk wolf. Chimo had just joined the Supreme Palace, and if he could capture a few 9-tailed foxes, then his branch hall would be greatly strengthened. Earlier, Chimo was anxious. Now that he heard Ningyu's order, Chimo immediately flew out and hollered, "Leave 3 for me." "Ha ha ha, Chimo, you're too late. 4 of them are mine." Looking at Chimo, who was flying over, the golden arowana fish king laughed. "You and Bada can split the remaining 4. 3 are mine. You can have 1. Chapter 16:16. Intense battle. How unlucky. I should have applied to fight earlier. Looking at the late 9th grade Earth sovereign that Bada kicked over, Dao Master Mo helplessly rolled his eyes before he swiftly flew out and attacked with all his might. Rumble. Dao Master Mo was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and the Foxman Valley's late 9th grade Earth sovereign wasn't his opponent. In just one move, the Foxman Valley's late 9th grade Earth sovereign was pushed back several meters. Dao Master Mo's actions were the same as the golden arowana fish king. He did not kill the Foxman Valley's late 9th grade Earth sovereign, but firmly restrained him. "This won't do. I have to snatch a few more." After restraining the late 9th grade Earth sovereign, Dao Master Mo immediately turned around, intending to snatch a few more 9-tailed foxes to strengthen his branch palace. "I can't believe it." However, Dao Master Mo couldn't help cursing the moment he turned around. He could clearly see the remaining late 9th grade Earth sovereigns being defeated under the joint attacks of the golden arowana fish king and Bada. There were 7 late 9th grade Earth sovereigns lying on the ground. There were 4 in front of the golden arowana fish king and 3 in front of Bada. "Aren't you guys a little too unkind?" Looking at the cultivators lying on the ground in front of the golden arowana fish king and Bada, Sage Charm Devil lowered his head to look at the cultivators lying on the ground in front of him. What could he do? He naturally had to talk to the golden arowana fish king and the rest. It would be best if he could get 1 or 2 late 9th grade Earth sovereigns. Gulp. Seeing the 8 late 9th grade Earth sovereigns being defeated so quickly, the white fox couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. The late 9th grade Earth sovereigns of the 9-tailed fox clan were extremely powerful. The fact that the 3 pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns beside Ningyu could easily defeat them proved their terrifying fighting strength. The battle over there is about to end. At this moment, Ningyu's solemn voice resounded in the white fox's ears. Hearing that, the white fox immediately turned around and looked at the pavilion. The white fox was dumbfounded by what it saw. It stood on the spot in a daze. The battle in the pavilion was exceptionally intense. However, with the white fox's keen senses, she could tell that Green Fox and Guoliang had the upper hand. Green Fox and Grandmaster Zhao worked together and forced Ink Fox to retreat, sustaining serious injuries. Guoliang, on the other hand, was dealing with Banda and the 3 pinnacle 9th grade sovereigns by himself. No, he was dealing with Banda and the 3 late-stage sky sovereigns by himself. After all, Banda's cultivation had reached the late phase heavenly sovereign realm after using his trump card. The 3 pinnacle 9th grade earth sovereigns had also reached the late phase heavenly sovereign realm. Facing 4 late-stage sky supremes by himself, Guoliang didn't show any signs of weakness. On the contrary, Guoliang was suppressing Banda and the rest in every way. Bang! 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 Before the white fox could recover from its daze, Guoliang seized the opportunity and punched out 3 times in a row. 3 crisp sounds rang out. Apart from Banda, the other 3 martial arts practitioners were hit in the heart, and their bodies fell heavily to the ground. Xiu. After succeeding in his attack, Guoliang did not stop his attack. Instead, he dashed forward and launched another powerful attack. Hit the snake where it hurts, don't hold back. Guoliang knew that his time was almost up. 7 minutes had passed since he swallowed the elixir. He still had 3 minutes to attack with all his might. If he couldn't get rid of the trouble in front of him within 3 minutes, then it was very likely that he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Guoliang was different from the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others. When he made a move, it was a killing move. Crack, crack, crack. Guoliang kicked out 3 times in a row, and each kick landed on the head of a late-stage Sky Sovereign Realm martial artist. With 3 crisp sounds, the 3 martial artists who had used their trump cards to advance to the late phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm died on the spot. Damn it! Banda's expression turned extremely grave when he saw Guoliang successfully kill the 3 companions who fought alongside him. We have to retreat. At this point, Banda was very clear about the current situation. If Guoliang could kill 3 late-stage Sky Sovereigns of the same cultivation level as him, then he could kill him. At this time, only by running away would he have a chance of survival. Fut. However, before Banda could escape, Black Fox, who was on the other side, was hit in the chest by Green Fox and Master Zhao in a moment of carelessness. He spat out a large mouthful of blood. Guoliang, you have 2 minutes left. Ning Yu had been silently counting the time. The time left for Guoliang had dropped from the initial 10 minutes to 2 minutes. It was not particularly difficult to kill Ink Hu and Banda, who were severely injured, in 2 minutes. A cold glint shot out of Guoliang's eyes. He instantly tore through the void and appeared in front of Banda. As he spoke coldly, Guoliang's right fist turned into a palm and slapped Banda's face hard. Slap, slap, slap. Guoliang's attack was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he had slapped hundreds and thousands of times. Banda's cheeks became bigger and bigger as Guoliang waved his right hand. By the time Guoliang stopped, Banda's head had turned into a pig's head and had expanded several times. Die. In the end, Guoliang raised his right foot and kicked Banda's heart hard. Guoliang's kick was heavy and forceful, without the slightest bit of sloppiness. Banda's heart was not particularly hard. It was directly split in half by Guoliang's terrifying kick. With his heart split in half, there was no doubt that Banda had been killed. Lunatics, you're all lunatics. Black Fox could not care less about wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. As he shouted lunatics, he clenched his right fist and punched the Annihilation Killing Formation. Black Fox knew that only by breaking the Annihilation Killing Formation could he have a chance to escape. Otherwise, he would definitely die today. However, the Annihilation Killing Formation was not something that Black Fox could break even if he wanted to. Master Zhao's attainments in formations were extremely profound. With him watching over the Annihilation Killing Formation, it would take Black Fox at least some time to break it. However, the current situation was obviously not enough to last until Black Fox broke the formation. Black Fox had no choice but to surrender after trying for a while. Extending his right hand, Black Fox hurriedly said, "I surrender. I'm at your disposal." Black Fox's sudden surrender stopped Guoliang from continuing to attack. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Ning Yu. "Use your current ability to control Black Fox," Ning Yu said in a deep voice. "Even if the effects of your medicine wear off, you still have to be able to control Black Fox's life and death." "No problem." Guoliang's mind moved. Then, a cold light swept out of his body and entered Black Fox's heart. This cold light spread out from Black Fox's heart and firmly controlled it. Chapter 16-17. Ancestral Secrets Very good. Guo Liang followed Ning Yu's instructions and controlled Ink Fox, which made Ning Yu very satisfied. The reason why Ning Yu let Guo Liang control Ink Fox instead of killing him on the spot was entirely due to his own considerations. The Azure Fox's cultivation was in the late phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm, and if she went berserk, Ning Yu could only get Xie Ziyi to take action. There were only 2 pills, and Guo Liang had already used one. As for the remaining one, Ning Yu planned to save it for the Saint-Grade Yuan Crystal Vein. By controlling Ink Fox, he would be able to stand up to Green Fox when she launched an attack. Voila! This battle ended as quickly as it came. At this point, among the 4 forces that had just appeared, only Green Fox's and White Fox's forces remained unscathed. Apart from Ink Fox, the other 3 forces were all killed. The battle was over. Master Zhao's world exterminating killing array was instantly destroyed. Master Zhao's cultivation wasn't considered too high. Sitting in the eye of the world exterminating killing formation, the pressure he had to bear was really huge. Now that the battle was over, Master Zhao's tense nerves finally relaxed a little. Sister. Qing, who hurriedly flashed over to the White Fox and sized it up before she asked, "Are you alright?" "I'm fine. What could happen to me?" The White Fox smiled and said, "You, on the other hand, have just experienced a big battle and need to recuperate. Why don't you go first? Where to first?" The corner of Ning Yu's lips curled up and he softly said, "White Fox, can you fulfill your promise to me now?" Hearing Ning Yu's words, Qing, who revealed a puzzled expression and asked, "Big sister, what did you promise him?" "That is, to use the 9-tailed pearl, to exchange for the Star Sky Flower," the White Fox said hesitantly. "What?" Green Fox immediately leaped up when she heard the words 9-tailed pearl. "No, the 9-tailed pearl is the ultimate treasure of our 9-tailed fox clan. We absolutely can't use it to trade." "But the Star Sky Flower?" The White Fox hesitated. "There are no buts. We can't hand over the 9-tailed pearl, but I want the Star Sky Flower too." Azure Fox said coldly, "This is Foxman Valley. Now that our archenemy, Ink Fox, has been defeated, it means that our bloodline is unstoppable in Foxman Valley. We are the undisputed overlords of Foxman Valley." "Absolutely not." White Fox understood better. Not to mention Guo Liang's formidable strength, even Ning Yu's elusive trump card made the White Fox a little afraid. Azure Fox's intention was obviously to kill Ning Yu and the others and seize the Star Sky Flower by force. "Don't be afraid, sister." Green Fox revealed a confident expression as she spoke in a clear voice. "I can smell a poison in that Guo Liang's body." Evidently, Guo Liang is heavily injured, and he can only bring out the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign for a short period of time. It has already been 10 minutes, and I can conclude that he can no longer bring out the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. As a heaven-defying demon fox of the 9-tailed fox clan, Azure Fox and her sister White Fox had very strong senses. White Fox's strength lay in her ability to detect hidden artifacts, while Azure Fox's strength lay in her ability to detect if a cultivator was injured. "Are you so sure that you can defeat us?" Ning Yu looked at Azure Fox with interest. "Just as you guessed, Guo Liang can no longer bring out the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. But Ink Fox is in our hands. Don't forget that Ink Fox is also a pinnacle heavenly sovereign." Azure Fox's heart skipped a beat. How could she have forgotten about this? However, Azure Fox only worried for a few seconds before she completely recovered and said coldly, "Who does Ink Fox think he is?" "Who does Ink Fox think he is? I'm not afraid to tell you that our Foxman Valley's ancestor is about to come out of seclusion. As long as I can stall you for 10 minutes, the ancestor will come out. By then, how are you going to leave?" Azure Fox was no fool. She dared to make things difficult for Ning Yu and the others only because she knew that the Foxman Valley's ancestor was about to come out of seclusion. The Foxman Valley's ancestor was a pinnacle heavenly supreme and had even touched the threshold of a half-step saint. When the Foxman Valley's ancestor was in seclusion, He had said that he would support the faction that could find the starry flower and the golden key within it to dominate the Foxman Valley. In order to dominate the Foxman Valley and to take revenge, Azure Fox was willing to betray her trust and become enemies with Ningyu and the others. I'm going to wait here and see what kind of person your Foxman Valley's ancestor is. After hearing Azure Fox's words, Ningyu waved his hand and gestured for the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others to rest and recuperate. Ningyu's goal had been confirmed before they entered the Foxman Valley. To obtain the nine-tailed pearl, the sacred grade mineral vein of the Divine Emperor Palace was extremely dangerous. If they could obtain a nine-tailed pearl, it would be equivalent to having an extra life. Moreover, even if they stayed, they would not be killed by the Foxman Valley's ancestor. After all, they still had an elixir. If necessary, they could let Xiezi swallow the elixir and fight the Foxman Valley's ancestor. Green Fox grunted coldly when she saw Ningyu and the others sit down cross-legged, and then she said, "What tricks? Let me see if all of you will still be able to maintain such a composed expression when the ancestor appears later." With that, Azure Fox pulled White Fox to a spacious area and sat down. She placed her hands on White Fox's back and began to treat White Fox's injuries. White Fox was being chased by the large-eyed demonic beast. If Azure Fox had not arrived in time, White Fox would have been killed. Even though Azure Fox had arrived in time, White Fox was still severely injured, and her body had sustained severe internal injuries. Azure Fox took advantage of the time when Foxman Valley arrived to treat White Fox, trying to heal White Fox's injuries as soon as possible. While Azure Fox was treating White Fox, Ningyu and the others were resting with their eyes closed. For a moment, the area became quiet. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Whoosh! When the 11th minute arrived, the void split open and the Foxman Valley's patriarch suddenly appeared out of the void. Swish! Seeing the Foxman Valley's ancestor, Ningyu, the Golden Arowana Fish King, and the others immediately opened their eyes. Peak Sky Supreme, huh? Sensing the Foxman Valley's ancestor's aura, Ningyu's expression turned grave. This was Foxman Valley, and the Foxman Valley's ancestor was a Peak Sky Supreme. If the Foxman Valley's ancestor made trouble here, Xiezi would have to swallow the elixir today. No, no. Suddenly, Ningyu's heart jumped, as if he had discovered something extremely shocking. Without a doubt, Ningyu had discovered a secret of the Foxman Valley's ancestor. On the surface, the Foxman Valley's ancestor was a Peak Sky Supreme and extremely powerful. But that was not the case. Inside the Foxman Valley's ancestor's body, there was a black gas floating around his heart. Chapter 16:18. Swoosh, whoosh. After discovering the Foxman Valley Patriarch's secret, Ningyu's heart finally calmed down. The fact that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was troubled by the black gas meant that Paragon Palace had become the strongest faction in Foxman Valley. Why don't I make the nine-tailed fox clan in Foxman Valley a branch of Paragon Palace? When he thought of this, Ningyu was shocked by himself. Right now, Paragon Palace had the bloodthirsty wolf clan and the golden Arowana clan. If there was an additional nine-tailed fox clan, one could imagine how powerful Paragon Palace would become. Foxman Valley was different from Bada and the Golden Arowana King. Bada and the Golden Arowana King might be the branch masters of the bloodthirsty wolf clan and the Golden Arowana King, but there weren't many of them in their clans. Their strength was also mediocre. Foxman Valley was different. Just Green Fox and Black Fox alone were enough to sweep the bloodthirsty wolf clan and the Golden Arowana clan. I need to think about this at length. Ningyu wasn't a rash person. He knew that making Foxman Valley a branch of Paragon Palace was even harder than ascending to the heavens. At the very least, he had to convince the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He probably wouldn't be able to convince the Foxman Valley Patriarch with just brute force. The only thing he could do now was to start with the black gas in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body, hand over the Starsky flower. After the Foxman Valley Patriarch appeared, he didn't even look at Ningyu and the others as he spoke to White Fox. Patriarch, the Starsky flower is in their hands. Without waiting for White Fox to speak, Green Fox hurriedly pointed at Ningyu. Hearing this, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's gaze finally shifted to Ningyu. His perception began to probe Ningyu's body without restraint. Ningyu was naturally very displeased with the Foxman Valley Patriarch's unrestrained probing. He coldly snorted and said, "Those who come from afar are guests. Is this how the Grand Foxman Valley's old ancestor treats his guests?" The reason why Ningyu acted tough was because he had the capital to be tough. Because of the black gas in his body, the Foxman Valley Patriarch could no longer unleash the power of a peak Sky Supreme. Right now, the Foxman Valley Patriarch could only unleash the strength of an early-stage Sky Supreme. Hearing Ningyu's unbridled words, the Foxman Valley ancestor raised his eyebrows and revealed a faint expression of anger. If he could obtain the Star Heaven flower, he would be able to obtain the golden key inside the Star Heaven flower and have the opportunity to exchange the key for medicinal herbs that could heal his internal injuries. Anyone who tried to stop him from obtaining the golden key would be his enemy. "Green Fox, what are you waiting for? Quickly take them down," Foxman Valley's old ancestor said angrily. This, Azure Fox was no fool. The reason why she had become enemies with Ningyu's group was to wait for the old ancestor to appear and suppress Ningyu's group. Now, the old ancestor had appeared, but he wanted her to deal with Ningyu's group. Wasn't this nonsense? Although she was a late-stage Sky Supreme, Ningyu also had a late-stage Sky Supreme like Black Fox on his side. Azure Fox knew Black Fox well. In order to survive, Black Fox would definitely fight with her. "Are you not willing to help?" The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression instantly turned cold. He said in a deep voice, "I am the Foxman Valley Patriarch, and I have the nine-tailed pearl. Do you want to betray the Foxman Valley?" As he spoke, the Foxman Valley Patriarch reached into his pocket and took out an egg-sized pearl. The pearl had a total of 9 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, and white. The 9 colors surrounded the surface of the pearl, looking extremely enchanting. Nine-tailed pearl. Ningyu and Azure Fox's expressions were completely different when they saw the pearl in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's hand. Ningyu was excited because it was highly likely that he would obtain the nine-tailed pearl soon. Azure Fox, on the other hand, was afraid. As a late-stage Sky Supreme of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, she had already left a drop of blood essence in the nine-tailed pearl. As long as the Foxman Valley Patriarch was willing, he could make her suffer inhumane torture at any time. Can I say something?" After the excitement, Ningyu calmed down. Especially after seeing Azure Fox about to attack him, Ningyu finally decided to use his wits to persuade the Foxman Valley Patriarch. After all, Azure Fox was a late-stage Sky Supreme. If she used her full strength, it would still be somewhat powerful. "Speak." The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression was cold. "If I'm satisfied with your words, I can spare your life. I haven't lived long enough, so of course I don't want to die." Ningyu smiled and said, "If I'm not wrong, that black ball in your body, enough." Before Ningyu could finish, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said coldly, "Hand over the Star Sky flower, or I'll let you know why flowers are so red." "I'm sorry, but I know better than you why flowers are red." Ningyu shrugged and said, "I just want to remind you that with your current condition, you won't live for more than 3 days without treatment." "What?" Ningyu's voice was not loud, nor was it soft. Azure Fox and Azure Fox also heard it clearly. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was injured. Azure Fox and Azure Fox had never thought about it in this way. However, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's reaction was enough to prove that Ningyu was not making things up. Damn it! Azure Fox and Azure Fox were shocked, while the Foxman Valley Patriarch was furious. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not want others to know that there was a black gas in his body or that he was seriously injured. After looking around, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's worry eased a little. There were only 3 nine-tailed demon foxes in the entire area. He, Azure Fox, and Azure Fox. As long as Azure Fox and Azure Fox did not say anything, the nine-tailed demon fox would not know. "I can heal the injuries in your body." Ningyu's words shocked everyone to death, and he went straight to the point without the slightest hesitation. "You can heal the injuries in my body?" "What can you?" "You can heal the injuries in my body?" At first, the Foxman Valley Patriarch wanted to reprimand Ning Yu. However, when he came back to his senses, his eyes widened and he said, "Are you sure you're not kidding me?" Recently, the Foxman Valley Patriarch had been troubled by the black gas in his body. Almost every few hours, he would endure a heart-wrenching pain. Even a pinnacle heavenly supreme like him couldn't bear the pain. "I'm willing to bet my life that as long as you trust me and give me time, I can definitely heal the injuries in your body." Ning Yu did not even frown when he lied. No matter what, he had to calm the Foxman Valley Patriarch first. As for how to heal the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, he was not in a hurry. Chapter 1619. Chapter 1619, Emperor Palace's trick. You have 10 minutes to convince me. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was indeed a peak expert. He quickly calmed down and said, "If you can't convince me after 10 minutes, you should know the consequences better than me." As expected of an old fox. The more he lives, the more shrewd he becomes. Hearing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words, Ning Yu felt a little troubled. However, Ning Yu was someone who knew how difficult it was. If he wanted to take down the Foxman Valley without bloodshed, he had to first obtain the Foxman Valley Patriarch's trust. Otherwise, there would be a huge battle. "I can convince you in 10 minutes, but I'm afraid you won't give me the chance." Ning Yu took a deep breath and said with a serious expression, "Humph. Stop pretending. Tell me, how do you want me to give you the chance?" The Foxman Valley Patriarch snorted. "It's very simple. I want to separate a bit of my soul power into your body and see what that black gas in your heart is," Ning Yu said as he stared at the Foxman Valley Patriarch. "All right." The Foxman Valley Patriarch was bold and skilled. He placed his hands behind his back and said, "I want to see what tricks you can play." Swoosh. Ning Yu did not continue to talk nonsense with the Foxman Valley Patriarch. With a thought, a bit of soul power rushed out of his body and rushed toward the Foxman Valley Patriarch. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not go back on his words. He stood on the spot and looked at the soul power that was rushing toward him. His expression did not change at all. His expression did not change. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression could not be better described as being expressionless. Seeing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's behavior, Ning Yu could not help but nod. Even an experienced nine-tailed fox demon like the Foxman Valley Patriarch was so obedient. One could only imagine how powerful the black gas in his body was. Thinking of this, Ning Yu's cautious behavior became even more cautious. Poof! Ning Yu's soul power was very fast. It entered the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body almost instantly and carefully approached the black gas. "What is it?" Ning Yu controlled his soul power and started to circle around the black gas inside the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body. He didn't dare to get close. Although he was quite a distance away from the black gas, Ning Yu could still sense an aura that made his heart palpitate. If it weren't for Ning Yu's strong willpower, he would have been confused by this aura. While Ning Yu was probing the black gas, Azure Fox and White Fox stood on either side of the Foxman Valley Patriarch, glaring at Guoliang. Although Guoliang's aura had declined, he had just displayed the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. If Guoliang suddenly attacked, the Foxman Valley Patriarch would not be able to stop him alone. Therefore, Green Fox and White Fox were temporarily responsible for the safety of Foxman Valley's Patriarch. As for the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others, they did not have so many scruples. Since Ning Yu had come out to check on the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, there would definitely be no problems. After all, Ning Yu was the Palace Lord of Paragon Palace. As members of Paragon Palace, they had to trust Ning Yu unconditionally. Could Ning Yu really be able to discover what the black gas inside the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body is? On Ning Yu's side, the only person who was suspicious of Ning Yu was Guoliang. However, Guoliang was not truly suspicious of Ning Yu. He had his own plans. If Ning Yu could really detect the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, it meant that Ning Yu was confident that he could cure the Jiu poison in his body. Guoliang was still able to calculate this debt. Time passed minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Whoosh! At that moment, a cold light suddenly rushed out of the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body and returned to Ningyu's mind. How is it? Have you figured it out? The Foxman Valley Patriarch stared at Ningyu and said coldly, 10 minutes are up. If you can't give me a convincing explanation, then don't even think about leaving Foxman Valley today. As he spoke, the Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hand. Suddenly, the sky above Foxman Valley was covered with dark clouds. It seemed like the entire sky was covered. Oh no, it's the sky blot formation. The sudden appearance of the dark clouds did not cause much reaction to Ningyu and the others. However, Grandmaster Zhao's expression changed drastically. I didn't expect you to know about the sky blot formation. You are indeed not simple. The Foxman Valley Patriarch glanced at Grandmaster Zhao and said calmly, now that the sky blot formation has been activated, don't even think about breaking out without the cultivation of a half-sage. Activating the sky blot formation consumes a large amount of energy every minute and second. I believe that with the current resources of Foxman Valley, it will be difficult to maintain, right? Grandmaster Zhao said. You don't have to worry about that. The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hand and then looked at Ningyu. He said, you haven't said anything yet. Do you not know what the black gas in my body is? Indeed, I don't know what the black gas in your body is. This time, Ningyu did not lie to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He shook his head slowly and said, even though I have seen many things, I have never seen the black gas in your body. In that case, you can die now. The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his right hand. In an instant, a dark cloud floated above Ningyu's head and looked like it was going to rush down. Although I don't know what the black gas in your body is, I know that it belongs to the Emperor Divine Palace. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he stared at the Foxman Valley Patriarch fearlessly. Actually, Ningyu was right. In 10 minutes, he had not detected what the black gas was or how corrosive it was. However, Ningyu realized that there was an aura in the black gas that he was very familiar with. He had smelled that aura from the Emperor Divine Palace Patriarch before. Obviously, the Emperor Divine Palace Patriarch had come into contact with the black gas. After all, Ningyu was not very sure. Therefore, he had been paying attention to the changes in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression after he spoke. He wanted to verify his speculation from the changes in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression. Impossible. The Foxman Valley Patriarch almost jumped up when he heard Ningyu's words. The black gas in his body had indeed been left behind by an expert from the Emperor Divine Palace. A few years ago, an unparalleled expert from the Emperor Divine Palace had come to the Foxman Valley and forcefully injected the black gas into his body. Furthermore, that expert had said that he had to listen to a heavenly sovereign of the Emperor Divine Palace in the Moling Mountain Range. He had to meet that heavenly sovereign every year, and that heavenly sovereign would naturally give him the antidote. Of course, the antidote would only last for a year. After a year, he would have to endure that excruciating pain again. However, the Foxman Valley Patriarch had not expected that Ningyu would know that the black gas came from the Emperor Divine Palace. Chapter 1620. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's face darkened at the thought. If Ningyu was someone sent by the Emperor Divine Palace, then he was doomed. He wanted to get rid of the black gas in his body and get rid of the Emperor Palace's control. If the Sky Supreme from Emperor Palace knew about this, he would be in deep trouble. Even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Why are you angry, Senior? The Foxman Valley Patriarch's action made Ningyu feel that something was wrong. He was right, but the Foxman Valley Patriarch wanted to kill him. Ningyu knew that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was afraid that he would tell the Emperor Palace. After all, he was under the control of the Emperor Palace's experts. Once Ningyu told the Emperor Palace, he would be finished. Therefore, it was reasonable for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to want to kill him. Tell me, who are you? The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hands. Suddenly, the dark clouds in the sky became more and more violent. I killed several heavenly sovereigns of the God Emperor Palace. Ningyu decided to persuade the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He took a step forward and said, "Who do you think I am? Did you really kill a few heavenly sovereigns from the God Emperor Palace?" The Foxman Valley's old ancestor wasn't sure if Ningyu was telling the truth. Haha, you can believe me or not. Ningyu smiled and said, the reason why I entered the Moling mountain range this time is mainly to destroy the sacred grade crystal mine of the Emperor Palace in the Moling mountain range. You even know about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine? The Foxman Valley Patriarch was a little less worried when he heard Ningyu mention the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. There were very few people who knew about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace in the Moling mountain range. Over the years, the Emperor Palace had been secretly mining the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine in the Moling mountain range. Every once in a while, the Sky Supreme expert guarding the mine would leave. Every time the heavenly sovereigns guarding the Saint Grade crystal vein left, they would only bring a few interspatial pouches that were filled with Saint Grade origin crystals. When the Sky Supreme expert came back, he would bring a few people with him. The people brought back by the Sky Supreme expert were not all at the same level. Some were at the origin core realm, some were at the creation realm, while others were at the yin-yang realm and some were at the sovereign realm. According to the Foxman Valley Patriarch speculation, 80% of the people brought back by the Sky Supreme from the Emperor Divine Palace were laborious in charge of mining the Saint Grade primordial crystal mine. In fact, when the Foxman Valley Patriarch had heard about the sacred grade essence crystal mine, he had already started to trust Ningyu. The Emperor Palace had always been cautious. Even in the Emperor Palace, only a few people knew about such an important place like the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. The fact that Ningyu could say it without any scruples meant that there was an irreconcilable hatred between them and the Emperor Palace, just as Ningyu had said. However, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said in a deep voice, even if what you said is true, what about the black gas in my body? Whoever started the trouble should end it, Ningyu said. You mean, let the people from the Emperor Palace help me get rid of the black gas in my body? The Foxman Valley Patriarch asked hesitantly. No wonder you're the Foxman Valley Patriarch. You're very smart. Ningyu nodded and said, with the people we have, we can definitely succeed in attacking the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace in the Moling mountain range. Ningyu glanced at the Foxman Valley Patriarch and said, when the time comes, I want the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine in the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace. At that time, I want the Saint Grade origin crystals in the Saint Grade origin crystal vein. As for that heavenly sovereign, I'll leave it to you so that you can find a way to expel the black aura in your body. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was a little tempted by Ningyu's idea. It was impossible for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to attack the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine with their strength alone. One must know that the heavenly sovereign of the God Emperor Palace had set up numerous spiritual arrays around the Saint Grade origin crystal vein. Every single formation required him to personally open it. The Foxman Valley Patriarch went to the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine 3 times in total. Every time he went, he would feel a lingering fear. That was because there were always corpses of demonic beasts in the arrays around the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. The cultivation of those demonic beasts ranged from the yin-yang realm to the creation realm. Once, the Foxman Valley Patriarch even saw a Sky Supreme demonic beast lying in the array. It had died a horrible death. How much do you know about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine? The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not say whether he would agree to Ningyu's request. The sacred grade Yuan crystal mine is very important to the Emperor Palace. There must be a lot of guards there, Ningyu replied. A lot of guards? Haha, you think too little of the Emperor Palace. The corners of the Foxman Valley Patriarch's mouth rose as he sneered. To tell you the truth, there are dozens of formations of various sizes around the Sage Grade origin crystal vein. Those who are not well versed in formations cannot even enter the Sage Grade origin crystal vein. In that case, you must have been to the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine? Ningyu asked hurriedly when he heard the hidden meaning in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words. You must make me believe you. The Foxman Valley Patriarch looked at Ningyu and did not continue after saying that. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's meaning was clear. He did not particularly trust Ningyu. If Ningyu wanted to know what was inside the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine, he had to gain his trust. Sapling, give me the starry flower. Ningyu knew that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was very suspicious, so he contacted the sapling. The only thing he could do now was to give the starry flower to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Otherwise, he would not be able to gain the Foxman Valley Patriarch's trust. What do you want the starry flower for now? Give me 3 more minutes. I'll be able to take out the golden key from the starry flower in 3 minutes. The sapling did not want to hand over the starry flower. In order to take out the golden key from the starry flower, the sapling did not hesitate to use 2 of its golden branches to reduce its cultivation from grade 6 Earth Supreme to grade 5 Earth Supreme. Seeing that he was about to take out the starry flower, Ningyu wanted him to hand over the starry flower along with the golden key. Wasn't this nonsense? Don't talk nonsense. You can leave something in the golden key first. I'll help you snatch the golden key in the future. Ningyu said coldly. He did not want to waste time talking to the sapling. All right, I hope you can do what you say. The sapling had no choice but to hand over the Xing Tianhuan to Ningyu. However, before handing over the starry flower, the sapling squeezed out a drop of liquid from one of its branches and placed it in the golden key. The sapling knew that the golden key was very precious, so he had to keep it in his hands. Chapter 1621. Hand over the starflower. Here. After receiving the sapling's approval, Ningyu pulled out the starry heavenly flower from his storage ring and tossed it to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Whoosh. Looking at the star sky flower flying towards him, the Foxman Valley's ancestor's mouth gaped open, feeling that this was quite unbelievable. Not only was Foxman Valley Patriarch shocked, but even Green Fox and White Fox were dumbfounded. They couldn't understand why Ningyu would return the Skystar flower to the Foxman Valley Patriarch after spending so much effort to obtain it. Could it be that there was a trap? Regardless of whether it was a trap or not, there was no reason for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to reject the meat that was already in his mouth. He raised his right hand and firmly held the star sky flower in his hand. He spread out his perception and carefully checked the star sky flower. Only when he confirmed that the golden key was still inside did he let out a sigh of relief. His tense body relaxed a little. Even if Ningyu didn't really want to help him, he could exchange the golden key for the antidote from the Emperor Palace. Can you trust me now? Ningyu spread his hands at the Foxman Valley Patriarch and said, if your Foxman Valley works with us, we might be able to destroy the sacred grade primordial crystal mine of Emperor Divine Palace. I told you, you underestimated the Emperor Divine Palace. The Foxman Valley Patriarch carefully put away the star sky flower and said, I have been to the Sage Grade Essence Crystal Mine 3 times. There are many formations around the Sage Grade Essence Crystal Mine. However, the interior of the Sage Grade Essence Crystal Mine is also very dangerous. After saying that, the Foxman Valley Patriarch stretched out his right hand and spread out his 5 fingers. There are at least 5 powerful auras in the primal crystal vein. Although the black miasma in my body has restricted my strength, I can be sure that the weakest amongst the 5 cultivators in the primal crystal vein is a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Huala. Hearing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words, Ningyu's heart was in turmoil. There were actually 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein? That's just too much nonsense. One must know that the Emperor Palace might be powerful, but not even their strongest expert was a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Ningyu would never believe that there were 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein alone. However, from the Foxman Valley Patriarch's behavior, Ningyu could tell that he was not talking. For a moment, Ningyu was caught in a dilemma. If they went to the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, they might be surrounded by the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. If they didn't go, then their trip to the Moling mountain range would end in failure. According to what you've said, I can't go to the Saint Grade crystal mine? Ningyu asked with a slight frown. Yes. The Foxman Valley's ancestor nodded his head before he shook his head. Unless you can find a way to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, you'll only be courting death. Master Zhao. Ningyu could not help but look at Master Zhao. Master Zhao slowly shook his head and said, I can indeed set up a formation to trap pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, but it will require a huge amount of materials, and it will take at least 3 months. Hearing Master Zhao's words, Ningyu immediately gave up on the idea of letting Master Zhao do it. If he spent 3 months setting up the formation, it would probably be too late by then. Oh, right. Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch again, "Did you find any extremely powerful formation in the Saint Grade origin crystal vein? The kind that you couldn't figure out even after looking at it?" Chem. Hearing this, the Foxman Valley Patriarch frowned and fell into deep thought. Ningyu did not continue to interrogate the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Instead, he quietly waited. The reason why Ningyu asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch about this was because he had suddenly thought of a possibility. From the people of the demon spirit realm, Ningyu had learned that there was an unparalleled demon spirit realm expert trapped in the formation in the depths of the Moling mountain range. Ningyu had asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch because he had doubts in his heart. He suspected that there was a powerful formation in the Saint Grade origin crystal vein, and that formation was used to trap demon spirit realm expert. Although the possibility of this suspicion was not high, Ningyu still wanted to confirm it. "From what you said, it seems to be possible." The Foxman Valley Patriarch furrowed his brows and began to recall everything he had seen. A while later, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said, "In the deepest part of the Saint Grade origin crystal vein, where the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns are, there is indeed a formation. Even I can't see any flaws in that formation. It seems that it really is possible." Ningyu felt that there was still a chance to turn things around. Since there was a formation in the depths of the Saint Grade origin crystal vein, it meant that there was a demon spirit realm expert imprisoned there. As for why there was a demon spirit realm expert imprisoned in the Emperor Palace, Ningyu did not know, nor did he want to know. Right now, Ningyu was most concerned about how to deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. "Right now, I can only hide around the Saint Grade origin crystal vein and wait for an opportunity." Ningyu did not want to take risks too early. At the very least, it should be the demon spirit realm experts who came to rescue him. They could just sit back and watch the tigers fight. "Do you have a way to deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns?" Seeing that Ningyu was a little stunned, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said impatiently, "I do have a way, but I need your cooperation." Ningyu knew what the Foxman Valley Patriarch was worried about, so he directly said, "I need a few heavenly starry petals and a large amount of medicinal ingredients." Swish. As he spoke, Ningyu waved his sleeve, and a list of medicinal ingredients flew to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Whoosh. Catching the list, the Foxman Valley Patriarch first glanced at it, then his mouth slightly opened and he said in surprise, "What do you need these medicinal ingredients for?" "To refine elixirs, of course." Ningyu nodded. "To deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, I need to refine a few elixirs first." Azure Fox, White Fox. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not waste any more time and said in a deep voice, "Go and prepare the medicinal ingredients on the list." Yes. Azure Fox and White Fox took the list, but they did not even look at it and turned to leave. The Foxman Valley was located in the depths of the Moling mountain range. There were many medicinal ingredients in the Moling mountain range, and the nine-tailed fox clan had accumulated a large amount of medicinal ingredients over the years. Azure Fox and White Fox did not care about just a few medicinal ingredients. "Can you tell me about your plan?" Seeing that Azure Fox and White Fox had left, the Foxman Valley Patriarch stared into Ningyu's eyes and asked, "Please allow me to keep you in suspense for now. When the 2 nine-tailed foxes bring back the medicinal ingredients, I will tell you." Ningyu cupped his hands and even changed the way he addressed the Foxman Valley Patriarch. At this point, the Foxman Valley Patriarch was basically on the same side as him. Chapter 1622. Chapter 1622. Chapter 1622 To attack Don't call me senior. "My name is Hu Wentian," said the Foxman Valley's old ancestor, Hu Wentian. "Senior Fox, when the 2 nine-tailed demon foxes return, I will definitely reveal the entire plan." Hu Wentian had asked Ningyu to call him by his name. However, Ningyu would not foolishly comply. At the very least, he would have to address Hu Wentian as senior Hu before he joined the Supreme Hall. "Up to you." Hu Wentian shrugged his shoulders, then closed his eyes and began to meditate. Hu Wentian did not speak, and Ning Yu did not speak either. For a moment, the entire area fell silent. Whoosh, whoosh. However, this silence did not last for long before it was broken by two sounds of something tearing through the air. The green fox and white fox rushed over from afar and appeared in front of Ning Yu and the others in the blink of an eye. Here. After they appeared, Qing Hu tossed a storage pouch to Ning Yu and said, "There are 10 sets of medicinal ingredients in there. Thank you." After catching the storage bag, Ning Yu expressed his gratitude and threw the storage bag to Grandmaster Xing Yun. Furthermore, Ning Yu turned to Hu Wentian and said, "Senior Hu, I have a presumptuous request." "What is it?" Hu Wentian asked. "I need 10 star sky flower petals." Ning Yu didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "No problem." Without a second thought, Hu Wentian plucked 10 petals from the star sky flower and handed them to Ning Yu. Hu Wentian needed the golden key within the star heaven flower, not the star heaven flower itself. It could be said that if Ning Yu wanted the entire star sky flower, Hu Wentian would have given it to him. "Also, I need a quiet room," Ning Yu continued. "I will satisfy all of your conditions." Hu Wentian waved his hand and said, "Now, please tell me your overall plan." "Actually, my plan is very simple." Ning Yu knew that he had to inform Hu Wentian of the plan. If he delayed it any longer, Hu Wentian would definitely get angry. After sorting out his thoughts, Ning Yu said in a clear voice, "Grandmaster Xing Yun is a peak 9th grade alchemist. His attainments in alchemy are very high. I asked you to prepare the medicinal ingredients and the starry sky petals so that Grandmaster Xing Yun can help me concoct pills. I really want to know, what's the relationship between you getting Grandmaster Xing Yun to refine pellets and dealing with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns? Do you think that you can make those 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns retreat with just a few elixirs?" Hu Wentian asked in puzzlement. It's impossible to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns with just a few elixirs, but, as he spoke, Ning Yu briefly paused before he continued, "With pellets and 2 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns or even quasi-saints, we should be able to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. You have quasi-saint companions?" Hu Wentian's heart skipped a beat as he exclaimed. The quasi-saint realm was something that Hu Wentian could only dream of. Without any fortuitous encounters, Hu Wentian might never be able to reach the quasi-saint realm in his lifetime. If he could obtain the experience of a quasi-saint expert, he would have a higher chance of success when he tried to break through to the quasi-saint realm in the future. Ning Yu smiled. He didn't answer Hu Wentian's question. Instead, he said, "Senior Hu, please prepare a quiet room for Grandmaster Xing Yun to refine the pellets first." Although he wanted to know if Ning Yu had any quasi-saint companions, Hu Wentian knew that Ning Yu would tell him if he wanted to. Otherwise, there was no point in asking. "Azure Fox and White Fox, bring Grandmaster Xing Yun to the secret room. Remember, don't let anyone disturb Grandmaster Xing Yun," Hu Wentian said in a clear voice. Rustle. Following that, Azure Fox and White Fox led the way while Grandmaster Xing Yun followed behind with 10 petals of the starry heavenly flower and 10 sets of medicinal ingredients. "Senior Hu, I would like to learn more about the internal structure of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. I hope you can enlighten me." After Grandmaster Xing Yun and the others disappeared, Ning Yu felt that he should learn more about the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. After all, only by knowing oneself and the enemy could one win 100 battles. There are a total of 3 caves in the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Each cave is so deep that you can't see the bottom. Hu Wentian sorted out his thoughts, and then began to speak tirelessly. While Hu Wentian was speaking, Ning Yu didn't disturb him. Instead, he tried his best to listen to him. When he heard the key points, he even memorized them. "It doesn't look good." Hu Wentian spoke for a full 10 minutes before he told Ning Yu everything he knew. After listening to everything, Ning Yu's face turned grave. From Hu Wentian's words, he knew that there were a total of 3 tunnels in the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. The Heavenly Supreme Expert from the Emperor Palace would only enter one of the tunnels and ignore the other 2. Ning Yu could basically conclude that the Demon Spirit Realm Expert was most likely in the tunnel that the Heavenly Supreme Expert from the Emperor Palace went to. Forget it. Let's wait for Grandmaster Xingyun to refine the elixirs first. Ningyu took a deep breath and decided to wait. This time, he had obtained 10 sets of medicinal ingredients from the Foxman Valley. This meant that Grandmaster Xingyun could refine 10 batches of elixirs. Every cauldron would refine 2 pills. And each elixir would allow Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang to work without restraint for 10 minutes. 10 batches, 20 elixirs. That would allow Xie Ziyi and Guo Liang to work for 200 minutes. With 200 minutes to act without restraint, this trip to the Saint-grade primordial crystal vein would also have a very good guarantee. Most importantly, Ningyu had a hidden trump card. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Ningyu wouldn't reveal his trump card. If he consumed 10 elixirs together with Grandmaster Xingyun's and his help, Guo Liang would be able to suppress the poison in his body for a short period of time and display the strength of a half-sane. Of course, even if he consumed 10 elixirs, Guo Liang would only be able to maintain the strength of a half-saint for a minute. After all, the poison in Guo Liang's body was terrifying. It would be difficult to suppress it with elixirs alone. It was already very good that Guo Liang could maintain the strength of a half-saint for a minute with the help of Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun. Even Guo Liang didn't know about this trump card. Since Grandmaster Xingyun would need at least 6 to 7 hours to refine 10 batches of elixirs, Ningyu chose to consolidate his cultivation during this time. Using the energy from the Earth Surge Acupoint, Ningyu successfully advanced to the first-grade Earth Supreme Realm. Although he couldn't advance to the second-grade Earth Supreme Realm in a short period of time, cultivation was like rowing a boat against the current. Ningyu didn't want to waste 6 to 7 hours. Rumble. However, as soon as Ningyu sat down, his expression changed and he immediately stood up. A loud noise came from the entrance of the Foxman Valley. Shit, it's the Heavenly Supreme Expert from the Saint-grade Yuan Crystal Vein. Chapter 1623. Chapter 1623. Chapter 1623 Stratagem. Upon hearing Hu Wentian's words, Ningyu's expression became extremely grave as he cried out in a deep voice. From Hu Wentian's words, Ningyu could determine that the Heavenly Sovereign in the Saint-grade Origin Crystal Vein wasn't an ordinary initial phase Heavenly Sovereign. At the very least, he was at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign realm. It was so much so that he might even be a late-stage Heavenly Sovereign. Although Xie Ziyi could exert the strength of a pinnacle Heavenly Supreme for a short time by devouring elixirs, it was impossible for Xie Ziyi to do so. However, Ningyu did not want Xie Ziyi to use up the last pill. After all, rashly swallowing a medicinal pill without a clear understanding of the enemy's strength was an unwise move. You guys can leave first. I'll go out with Senior Fox. Ningyu immediately made his decision. He told the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others to retreat while he and Hu Wentian went out to meet that Sky Supreme. I'll go with you. Xie Ziyi was worried about Ningyu's safety, so he volunteered to follow Ningyu. All right. Ningyu only thought for a second before agreeing to Xie Ziyi's request. Ningyu knew this better than anyone else. Xie Ziyi volunteered not because he was worried about his safety, but because he was afraid that no one would treat the Jiyu poison in his body after he died. Ningyu saw through it but didn't point it out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Next, Ningyu, Xie Ziyi, and Hu Wentian rushed towards the entrance of Foxman Valley. Senior Fox, with the Sky-Split Eclipse Array, that Heavenly Sovereign from the Saint-grade Origin Crystal Vein shouldn't be able to break in, right? As they moved forward, Ningyu did not forget to ask. Sigh. Every second that the Shrouding the Sun Great Array is activated consumes a large amount of energy. Hearing that, Hu Wentian sighed and said, in recent years, the Foxman Valley has consumed a lot of energy. With its current energy, it can only last for 3 minutes. Alright, let's go take a look at the entrance first. Ningyu also felt a little helpless. He didn't have much energy on him, and the amount of energy consumed by the sky-obscuring sun formation wasn't something he could afford. The only thing he could do now was to first figure out the enemy's actual situation and then think of another way. Hu Wentian, get your ass out here right now. Before Ningyu and the others even reached the entrance of Foxman Valley, they heard the Sky Supreme powerhouse cursing inside the Saint-grade primal crystal mine. His voice is powerful, and his aura is deep in his dantian. His cultivation should be at the late Sky Supreme realm. Based on the Berserk curses, Ningyu determined that the cultivator at the entrance of Foxman Valley was at least a late-stage Sky Supreme. Ordinary mid-stage Sky Supremes couldn't make such a sound. Swish, swish, swish. As Ningyu and the others were not too far from the exit of Foxman Valley, Ningyu and the others appeared at the exit of Foxman Valley after 10 seconds. The situation is a little troublesome. Looking at the grey-robed old man outside Foxman Valley, Ningyu's heart thumped. He knew that the situation was bad. The grey-robed elder's cultivation was indeed at the late Sky Supreme level. However, Ningyu wasn't worried about the grey-robed elder, but the experts hidden in the void around him. 3 cultivators, 2 late-stage Sky Supremes and 1 peak Sky Supreme. Ningyu did his best to calm himself down and not reveal any flaws. Before coming here, Ningyu had thought that if it came down to it, he could have Xie devour the elixir and kill the other party on the spot. But now, Ningyu had completely changed his strategy. Even if Xie devoured the elixir, he definitely wouldn't be able to fight against the grey-robed elder and the others. 1 peak Sky Supreme and 3 late Sky Supreme. With such a lineup, Hu Wentian could only unleash his peak combat power. Otherwise, acting rashly would only result in death. Who are they? The grey-robed elder's gaze turned sharp when he saw Hu Wentian. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation today, I'll skin you alive. They're the Foxman Valley's esteemed guests. Although he was disgusted by the grey-robed elder's words, Hu Wentian could only swallow his anger and hurriedly explained, a few hundred years ago, the first ancestor who founded the Foxman Valley, in order to fool the grey-robed elder, Hu Wentian began to fabricate a story, saying that Ningyu was the benefactor of the first ancestor of the Foxman Valley. Hu Wentian's expression didn't change when he started to panic, which made Ningyu admire him. All right. Don't talk to me about these useless things. When Hu Wentian talked about Ningyu's origins, it was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. The grey-clothed elder immediately waved his hand and interrupted Hu Wentian's words. Quickly pack up and bring all the 9-tailed foxes of the Foxman Valley with me to the origin crystal vein. Hu Wentian was briefly stunned before he replied, didn't we agree beforehand that you're only going to control me? You won't implicate the other 9-tailed foxes in the Foxman Valley. That was then, and this is now. If you can do as I say, I'll give you the antidote after we're done with this mission. The grey-robed elder said in annoyance. All right, I promise you. Hu Wentian briefly pondered before he continued, I'll gather all the 9-tailed foxes of the heavenly sovereign realm and above. As he spoke, Hu Wentian turned around and walked into the Foxman Valley. As for Ningyu and Xie, they stood on the spot and did not leave with Hu Wentian. In fact, the reason why Hu Wentian agreed to the grey-robed elder so quickly was because of Ningyu. Ningyu had already told Hu Wentian about the stakes, and Hu Wentian could only agree out of concern for the safety of the other 9-tailed foxes in the Foxman Valley. After Hu Wentian left, the grey-robed elder waved his hand at Ningyu and said, the 2 of you, come over here. Ningyu had fear on his face as he hesitated and did not approach the grey-robed elder. Cowards! The grey-robed elder had a look of disgust on his face, but he quickly concealed it. After sorting out his thoughts, the grey-robed elder said, I have a few questions. As long as you can answer them truthfully, I will definitely let you go. Are you serious? Ningyu immediately asked with joy on his face. Yes. The grey-robed elder nodded his head and continued, the first question is, why did the Foxman Valley activate the sky-shrouding array? Did someone launch an attack on the Foxman Valley? I'm not too sure if someone launched an attack on the Foxman Valley, but I do know that the 4 major forces of the Foxman Valley are fighting for power. In order to settle the internal conflict, Hu Wentian had no choice but to activate the sky-shrouding array. As he spoke, Ningyu sighed and muttered, what a pity. I initially wanted to borrow some saint-grade origin crystals from the Foxman Valley, but it looks like I can only return empty-handed. The grey-robed elder clearly heard Ningyu's muttering. Chapter 1624. Chapter 1624. Chapter 1624. Take away. Ningyu's eyes flickered as he said hesitantly, "Actually, it's nothing much. I just wanted to come and take a look." Hu Wentian isn't here. I advise you to speak the truth. The grey-robed old man chuckled. It's better for everyone. Can you guarantee that you won't kill me? Ningyu pinched the corner of his clothes as he stared at the grey-robed old man and asked nervously. Don't worry, I can swear a heavenly oath that I won't kill you. The grey-robed old man nodded and swore the heavenly Dao oath in front of Ningyu and Xie. Ningyu revealed a relieved expression when he saw the grey-clothed old man swear the heavenly Dao oath. Ningyu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His entire person seemed to have relaxed. I came to Foxman Valley to borrow some saint-grade origin crystals from Hu Wentian. Ningyu said. Still not going to tell me the truth? The corners of the grey-clothed old man's mouth curled upwards. Even his tone turned cold as he spoke. You mumbled earlier that you came to Foxman Valley to borrow saint-grade origin crystals, but I know very well that your goal is not that. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't behave, don't blame me for being impolite. Ningyu's expression became extremely terrified, as if he had seen a ghost. You want to lie to me? How could it be so simple? Ningyu's expression gave the grey-robed old man the feeling that he had a card up his sleeve. However, what the grey-clothed elder didn't know was, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. In Ningyu's opinion, he had to take a risk if he wanted to gain the old man's trust. The result made Ningyu very satisfied. As expected, the grey-robed old man fell for it. Since the grey-robed elder had fallen for it, then everything would be easy. His legs faintly trembling, Ningyu turned his head to look at the depths of Foxman Valley. Seeing that Hu Wentian had yet to return, he gritted his teeth and said, I'm heading to Foxman Valley this time because Master has asked me to buy a Star Heaven flower from Hu Wentian. What's your master's cultivation? The grey-robed old man's primary goal was not the Star Sky flower, but the cultivation of Ningyu's imaginary master. A half-saint. Ningyu's face was full of arrogance as he said in a deep voice. Half-saint. The grey-robed old man's heart skipped a beat and his eyes were filled with shock. A half-saint was an existence that surpassed the heavenly supreme realm. In the Pill Formation continent, and even in the heavenly devil realm, experts at the half-saint realm stood at the top of the pyramid. In the absence of sages, semi-sages would reign supreme. Therefore, when Ningyu said that his master was a semi-sage expert, the grey-clothed old man felt a great deal of pressure. There's no need to worry. We just happen to be able to draw that half-saint to the depths of the saint-grade origin crystal vein. Sensing the old man's nervousness, the pinnacle heavenly sovereign said, when the time comes, we'll activate the array and use 5 pinnacle powerhouses as bait. Then, we'll be able to succeed. All right. The grey-robed old man immediately came to a realization when he heard that. The array in the depths of the saint-grade origin crystal vein could even trap a demonic spirit realm sage, let alone a mere half-saint. Thinking of this, the grey-robed old man stared at Ningyu and asked again, Where is your master? Ningyu pondered for a moment and replied, I'm not too sure about that, but my master said that as long as I buy the Star Sky flower, he'll come looking for me. The grey-robed old man continued, What exactly is the Star Sky flower? Why does your master value it so much? I asked my master back then, but he scolded me and told me not to ask what I shouldn't ask, Ningyu said with a helpless expression. Then did you buy the Star Sky flower? The grey-robed old man continued to ask, not giving Ningyu any chance to catch his breath. No, Hu Wentian wouldn't sell it no matter what. Even if I brought up my master, he wouldn't agree. At the mention of the Star Sky flower, Ningyu immediately became disappointed and sighed. Don't sigh. As long as you follow me, I guarantee that I'll get the Star Sky flower for you. The grey-robed old man waved his hand and said, Are you serious? Ningyu looked at the grey-robed old man suspiciously, his expression was one of disbelief. I won't lie. The grey-robed old man laughed. Senior, as long as you can help me get the Star Sky flower, Ningyu hurriedly said, even stuttering when he spoke. You and I hit it off. How about this, you come with me later, I'll think of a way to help you get the star sky flower. The grey-robed old man said, also, don't call me senior, call me by my real name, Di Shitian. I'm called Xie Lin, the one beside me is called Xie Zi. Since Di Shitian introduced himself, Ningyu naturally followed suit. He couldn't use the name Ningyu anymore. After all, Ningyu had a feud with the Emperor Palace and was currently being hunted by them. It was impossible to guarantee that Di Shitian and the others would recognize him. As for Xie Zi, Ningyu had just communicated with him and learned that the name Xie Zi was also a pseudonym. Only a few people in the Dan Cheng continent knew about him. Therefore, there was no problem using Xie Zi. Whoosh! At that moment, Hu Wentian brought the Sky Supremes of the Foxman Valley and flew over from the depths of the valley. Ningyu hurriedly turned around and looked. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he did, he was shocked. There were a total of 10 Sky Supremes in the Foxman Valley. Moreover, this didn't include Azure Fox and White Fox. After all, Azure Fox and White Fox were protecting Grandmaster Xingyun. Hu Wentian wouldn't be stupid enough to call them over. Very good. Di Shitian stared at the 12 heavenly sovereigns behind Hu Wentian with a blazing gaze. Di Shitian wasn't the only one who was excited. The other 3 cultivators in the sky were also very excited. With one more Sky Supremes, the success rate of their plan would increase by a notch. Therefore, when Hu Wentian brought 12 Sky Supremes with him, they were extremely excited. Of course, Di Shitian's excited expression disappeared in a flash. He quickly returned to normal. Follow me. Di Shitian didn't waste any time here. He waved his hand and rushed into the depths of the Moling mountain range. Let's go too. Seeing Di Shitian leave, Hu Wentian didn't stay a second longer. He stomped on the ground and followed closely behind Di Shitian with the 12 heavenly sovereigns. Since everyone had left, there was naturally no need for Ningyu and Xie Zi to stay. After all, there was still a peak Sky Supremes and 2 late-stage Sky Supremes in the sky. Di Shitian was in front while the 3 cultivators in the sky followed behind. It looked like they were protecting Ningyu, Hu Wentian, and the others, but that wasn't the case. They were completely monitoring them. Ningyu initially wanted to communicate with Hu Wentian. But when he saw the 3 heavenly sovereigns following behind him, he immediately dispelled that thought. Ningyu believed that Hu Wentian would arrange everything properly. After all, this trip to the St. Grade Yuan crystal mine was fraught with grim possibilities. Furthermore, Hu Wentian brought 12 Sky Supremes with him. Therefore, it was reasonable for Hu Wentian to explain the reason to Guo Liang and the others. Chapter 1625. Di Shitian. Swish. Swish. In the depths of the Moling mountain range, within a dense forest, several figures flashed by, and the branches of the towering trees swayed in the wind. Without a doubt, these cultivators were none other than Ningyu and the rest who had just left the Foxman Valley. After leaving the Foxman Valley, Ningyu and the rest did not stop at all. Instead, they headed straight for the St. Grade Yuan crystal mine. As they went deeper, Ningyu's expression grew more and more solemn. Because Ningyu discovered that the Yuan Qi in the air was getting thinner and thinner. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the Yuan Qi in the air completely disappeared. Did Di Shitian discover us? Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something, and his expression turned solemn. Logically speaking, the Yuan Qi in the air around the St. Grade Yuan crystal mine should be very dense. Why was it that the closer they got to the St. Grade Yuan crystal mine, the thinner the Yuan Qi in the air became? Stop. Just as Ningyu was pondering, Di Shitian, who was at the front, suddenly stopped. He raised his right hand and said, "There's danger. Everyone, hide." As the sound of Di Shitian's voice faded, his body gradually became illusory as he fused with the air. Buzz. When Ningyu and the rest saw Di Shitian fuse with the air, their figures flickered and they too dove into the air. In the blink of an eye, including the 12 sky sovereigns that Hu Wentian brought with him, all of them fused with the air and disappeared. Whoosh. Not long after Ningyu and the rest disappeared, the void in the distance suddenly split open, and 3 behemoths emerged from the void. Gulp. Feeling the dense aura from the three colossal figures, Ningyu could not help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Peak Sky Sovereigns. The cultivation of these three demonic beasts were all at the peak of the Sky Sovereign realm. The Moling mountain range is indeed the forbidden land of the Pill Formation continent. I can easily see peak Sky Sovereign demonic beasts here. Ningyu was shocked as he tried to hide his aura for fear of being discovered by the demonic beasts. Although there were pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in their group, they wouldn't have a good ending if they were discovered by the three demonic beasts. Hence, not only Ningyu was doing his best to conceal his aura, Di Shitian and the rest were doing the same. Whoosh. Fortunately, the three pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts only stopped for a few seconds before flying off in another direction. It wasn't until 5 minutes after the three monsters left that Ningyu and the others appeared from the void. Senior, how far are we from our destination? Ningyu surveyed the surroundings as he asked Di Shitian. At most half an hour. Di Shitian replied. Di Shitian wasn't an indecisive person. After replying to Ningyu's question, he stomped on the ground and transformed into a blur as he sped away. Seeing Di Shitian rushing out, Ningyu, Hu Wentian and the rest could only follow closely behind. The interlude of the three demonic beasts didn't waste too much of Di Shitian's time. Half an hour later, Ningyu and the rest stopped in a spacious area. Looking at the spacious area, Ningyu was a little shocked. Honestly speaking, Ningyu didn't expect there to be such a spacious area in the depths of the Moling mountain range. Could it be that the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein was right under this spacious area? Rumble. At this moment, the ground trembled as a huge crack appeared in Ningyu and Di Shitian's vision. The Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein is right below. Let's go. Upon seeing the opening, Di Shitian grabbed onto Ningyu and swiftly dove into the opening. Soon after, Hu Wentian and the other 12 heavenly sovereigns also entered the crack. Rumble. When the last martialist entered the gap, the ground that had originally split open actually began to slowly close up. The area returned to its previous calm. Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. Inside the crack, Ningyu's gaze landed on the huge words on the ceiling of the cave. Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. 4 words were engraved on the ceiling of the cave. It was the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein that Ningyu spoke of. The distance between us and the cave should be the outermost area of the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. Ningyu did his best to calm himself down. Hu Wentian had already explained to him that there were many arrays around the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. If they were not careful, they would die without a burial ground. Ningyu wasn't stupid enough to activate those arrays. Shifting his gaze, he looked at Di Shitian and asked, "Is that the entrance to the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein?" "That's right. That's the entrance." Di Shitian nodded his head. "Are you interested in entering with me?" "Of course." An impatient expression appeared on Ningyu's face. However, Ningyu secretly transmitted his voice to Di Shitian, "Don't forget to obtain the Star Heaven flower for me. Only when I obtain it will my master come over." "No problem." Di Shitian smiled. "All of you, follow behind me. If anyone dares to be disobedient, don't blame me for being impolite." Sure. Di Shitian's feet moved, resembling a snake as he moved through the vast area. From here to the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein, there was still a long way to go. On this stretch of road, there were all kinds of formations. Ningyu knew this, Hu Wentian knew this, Xiezi also knew this. Hence, they followed closely behind Di Shitian. For every step Di Shitian took, they followed. For every half step Di Shitian took, they followed. The more dangerous it was, the more they couldn't panic. If they accidentally activated the arrays, the consequences would be unimaginable. Luckily, Di Shitian's speed wasn't too slow. Every time Ningyu was about to activate the arrays, he would be able to arrive in time. Just like that, they advanced for a full 10 minutes. With Di Shitian in the lead, Ningyu, Hu Wentian, and the 12 heavenly sovereigns as support, they finally arrived at the entrance of the Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. However, at the entrance, Di Shitian stopped. Stretching out his right hand, he pointed at the entrance and said, Hu Wentian, you and the nine-tailed demon fox you brought will be the vanguard. Walk at the front. Why us? Hu Wentian coldly snorted as he started to argue. There are no buts. If I want you guys to walk at the front, you guys have to walk at the front. Di Shitian didn't bother to give Hu Wentian any explanation. He was the person in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Whoever he wanted to walk at the front, that person had to walk at the front. If not, he would let Hu Wentian and the rest know the consequences. Fine. Although Hu Wentian felt helpless, he could only follow Di Shitian's instructions. You, and you, open the path at the front. Hu Wentian casually pointed at two Sky Supreme Realm nine-tailed demon foxes and had them take the lead. Shua. Shua. The two heavenly sovereigns didn't dare to disobey Hu Wentian's words. They rapidly rushed out, and in the blink of an eye, appeared at the entrance of the cave. Why are you still not going in? Chapter 1626. Chapter 1626. Chapter 1626. Shio. The two heavenly sovereigns stomped on the ground and entered the cave in front of Ningyu and the rest. Let's go too. Seeing the two nine-tailed demon foxes entering the cave, Di Shitian followed closely behind them. Black. The first feeling Ningyu had after entering the cave was darkness. The second feeling was that it was extremely dark. Huala. Luckily, Di Shitian took out a Saint Grade Yuan crystal from his robes, illuminating the incomparably dark cave. After advancing for roughly 10 minutes, the two nine-tailed demon foxes at the front abruptly stopped. The reason why they stopped wasn't because they didn't want to continue, but because there were 3 forks in front of them. After a moment of silence, Di Shitian said, Hu Wentian, bring the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes and take the left path. Xielin, you and Xie take the middle path. As for me, I will take the right path. After hearing Di Shitian's words, a look of hesitation appeared on Hu Wentian's face. Truthfully speaking, the previous 2 times, Di Shitian had ignored the left and middle paths. Why did he want him and Ningyu to take the middle path and the left path? There must be a demon behind this abnormal situation. Hu Wentian didn't want to die here without knowing why. Di Shitian, why did you want me to come here? Hu Wentian coldly asked. What can it be? Same old rules, there's a wall that's extremely hard to break through, so I wanted you and your tribesmen to help me. Di Shitian shrugged his shoulders and continued, I promise you, as long as you help me this time, I will definitely give you the antidote, completely dispelling the black miasma in your body. Words are useless, I want the antidote now. Hu Wentian had a resolute look on his face, as though he wouldn't enter the left path if Di Shitian didn't give him the antidote. Ka. Hu Wentian's actions caused Di Shitian's expression to turn completely cold. Not only that, a trace of killing intent could be seen on Di Shitian's face. However, this trace of killing intent was quickly concealed by him. Shua. With a flick of his wrist, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Di Shitian shook the jade bottle in his hand. The antidote inside can expel half of the black qi in your body. As he spoke, Di Shitian tossed the jade bottle towards Hu Wentian. Catcher. Hu Wentian stretched out his right hand and crushed the jade bottle. Without saying anything further, Hu Wentian swallowed the pill in the jade bottle right in front of Di Shitian. Not long after the pill entered his mouth, Hu Wentian felt the black gas in his heart begin to rush out. Kai. However, after half of the black gas disappeared, it returned to its original state and did not continue to decrease. But even so, Hu Wentian's fighting strength had reached the middle phase heavenly sovereign realm. But if Hu Wentian wanted to unleash the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign, he would have to expel the black miasma from his body. Can we go in now? Di Shitian stared at Hu Wentian and said, I, Di Shitian, am a man of my words. As long as you can break through that wall, I will definitely give you the remaining antidote. Humph. I hope you keep your word. Hu Wentian coldly snorted and entered the leftmost passage. After Hu Wentian disappeared, the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes behind him also dispersed. Xielin, you and your companions will enter the middle passage. I will wait for you on the other side. Di Shitian pointed at the middle passage as he spoke to Ningyu. But the star sky flower, Ningyu opened his mouth as he hesitated. Since he wanted to act, he had to make it look real. Ningyu believed that as long as Di Shitian wanted his half-saint master to come over, he would definitely not kill him. Haha, don't worry. When we reach the end of the passage, I will personally hand the star sky flower to you. Di Shitian lightly smiled as he continued, let's go. If we delay any longer, there might be changes. Okay, let's go. Since Di Shitian had already spoken to this extent, Ningyu nodded his head in agreement. After that, he and Xiezi entered the passageway in the middle. Buzz. Not long after Ningyu and Hu Wentian disappeared, the void suddenly split open and 3 figures appeared. 2 late-stage Sky Supremes and 1 peak Sky Supremes. Should we activate the formation and refine the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes in the left passage? Di Shitian hurriedly asked when he saw the peak Sky Supremes appear. Di Shitian was only the person in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine on the surface. The one in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine was the peak Sky Supremes, Di Feng. Emperor Palace was not as simple as Ningyu and the others thought. It could be said that ever since the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine was discovered in the Moling mountain range, Emperor Palace had been developing at a terrifying speed. Originally, Emperor Palace, Blood God Palace, and Corpse Sect were forces of the same level. But after such a long period of development, the experts in Emperor Palace were like mushrooms after the rain. The current Emperor Palace, in terms of high-end combat power, was no less than the Sacred Heaven sect of the Ice Domain, but their mid-range combat power was much weaker than the Sacred Heaven sect. After all, the Sacred Heaven sect was the absolute overlord in the Ice Domain. If Emperor Palace wanted to surpass the Ice Domain, the mid-range combat power couldn't be too far apart. We don't need to activate the formation for now. Di Feng shook his head and said, there are 3 more forces outside. Let's go to the formation in the deepest part and wait for all of them to enter the formation before we take action. 3 more groups. Hearing that, Di Shitian was slightly startled as he asked in confusion, which groups are they? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Di Feng said coldly, let's go. Hurry to the deepest formation and set everything up first. Di Feng stomped on the ground and rushed into the rightmost passage. Di Shitian and the other 2 late-stage Sky Supremes didn't dare to delay. They quickly followed behind and entered the rightmost passage. Rumble. At the same time, outside the cave, outside the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine, the void trembled. Then, a figure with a hunched back appeared. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that the hunched back was none other than the old lady who had devoured Meng Quan and the others, the 100-armed devil. There's a formation here. The 100-armed devil didn't rush into the cave immediately. Instead, her eyes became extremely sharp. As a demon spirit realm expert, the 100-armed devil wasn't only powerful, she was also well-versed in formations. She moved her feet and moved left and right in the area. The 100-armed devil's movement technique was very strange. Although she was moving at a fast speed, she didn't touch the formation at all. 3 minutes later, the 100-armed devil easily passed through the formation and appeared at the entrance of the cave. You want to trap me with a mere formation? Wishful thinking. Chapter 1627. Chapter 1627, Battle. Buzz. Buzz. Not long after the 100-armed ghost demon disappeared, the space cracked again. Whoosh. 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 This time, 3 figures appeared. Taking a closer look, there were 2 old men and a young woman wearing a bamboo hat. Senior should be imprisoned in the cave. One of the white-haired old men pointed at the entrance of the cave and said, let's go. We must save Senior before the 100-armed ghost demon. The white-haired old man moved his feet and was about to rush into the cave. Wait. Before the white-haired old man could move a few steps, the other short and plump old man immediately grabbed his arm and said, this area is so quiet. There must be a trap. Let me try first. As he spoke, the short and plump old man took out an interspatial pouch. Exerting force from his wrist, the short and plump old man threw the interspatial pouch forward. Open! As the short and plump old man roared, the interspatial pouch suddenly cracked open and a burly figure landed on the ground. Go to the cave! The short and plump old man formed seals and instructed the burly man. Boom! 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 The burly man walked towards the entrance of the cave step by step, each step landing heavily on the ground. Clearly, the burly man was a puppet. In terms of cultivation, the burly puppet was only a 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm cultivator. However, the material of the puppet was so tough that ordinary heavenly sovereigns wouldn't be able to shatter it. Using this puppet, we'll know if there's any danger ahead. The short and plump old man said with his hands behind his back. Boom! The puppet had only taken a dozen steps when it seemed to have triggered some kind of array, causing the ground to cave in with it at the center. Shit, come back! Seeing that the puppet was about to be devoured by the ground, the short and plump old man immediately bit his middle finger and began to control the puppet. Rumble. Unfortunately, no matter how the short and plump old man performed the technique, he couldn't contact the puppet. After struggling for a while, the puppet man's body fell into the pit. Crack, crack, crack. The moment the puppet's foot disappeared, the pit gradually closed up and returned to its original state. What's going on? The sudden change caused the white-haired old man's expression to turn extremely ugly. It's a formation. The short and stout old man's expression was solemn as he said in a low voice, there should be many formations between here and the cave. If we accidentally touch the formations, the consequences will be unimaginable. Don't tell me that even with our strength, we can't resist the formation. As matters stood, the white-haired old man calmed down. In terms of formation skills, the short and stout old man was much better than the white-haired old man. Therefore, the white-haired old man was helpless in the face of this distance, and could only ask the short and stout old man. It's hard to say. The pudgy old man frowned slightly and said, in my opinion, we should consume a few more puppets and let them open the way for us. Without waiting for the white-haired old man to answer, the short and stout old man took out a few more storage bags and threw them into the air. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the storage pouch shattered, and 3 burly puppets descended. Let's follow the burly puppets. The 3 of them should be able to ensure that we reach the entrance of the cave. The short and stout old man moved his legs first and moved forward carefully. The path that the short and stout old man was moving forward was not without reason. He was moving along the footsteps of the burly puppets just now. Although the white-haired old man wanted to say something, seeing that the short and stout old man was already moving forward, he had no choice but to move forward slowly. As for the woman in the bamboo hat, she had no choice but to follow closely behind the white-haired old man. Crack. Not long after, one of the 3 burly puppets in front accidentally touched the formation and was crushed to pieces by the formation. Such a change had a great impact on the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat. Fortunately, the short and stout old man's words stabilized the morale of the troops, otherwise there would have been a problem. We still have 2 more burly puppets, we should be able to reach the entrance of the cave. The short and stout old man kept saying, hoping that the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat would not be nervous. Because they were in the center of the formation, once the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat became nervous, it was likely that they would trigger another formation. Crack. They moved forward for a few more minutes. The second puppet did not manage to hold on. It also triggered a formation and was crushed to pieces by the formation. Because the previous few puppets had failed one after another, the short and stout old man was especially careful with the last puppet. He even split a portion of his soul force to open a path in front of him. Finally, hard work pays off. After 10 minutes of hard work, the short and stout old man and the others reached the entrance of the cave. Go in. After standing at the entrance for a full 5 minutes, the short and stout old man decided to go in and take a look. However, the short and stout old man was extremely careful. He would stop every few steps to look around, just in case there was any danger. Roar. Not long after the 3 of them entered the cave, an earth-shattering roar suddenly came from afar. The roar came from afar and appeared in the area in the blink of an eye. Peak Sky Supreme. And there were 3 of them at once. 3 pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts appeared in the area. If Ningyu and Di Shitian were here, they would definitely notice that the 3-peak Sky Supreme demonic beasts were the ones they had encountered not long ago. Master has finally come out of seclusion after 100 years. One of the pinnacle heavenly sovereigns raised an arc on the corner of his lips as he eerily said, "We don't dare to barge in when Master is in seclusion. But when Master comes out, we'll show our might. Don't be rash. Master's cultivation has just begun and is currently in a stable state. We can't be too reckless," the other peak Sky Supreme demonic beast said. "Remember our mission. Save our 5 companions and think of a way to obtain the huge Yuan crystal in the deepest part of the Saint-grade Yuan crystal mine. Don't worry. We're very clear about this." The last pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beast nodded his head. "But after rescuing our companions and obtaining the Yuan crystals, we can uproot the entire Saint-grade Yuan crystal vein. As long as you can complete the mission, you can do whatever you want with the rest of the time. I won't interfere," the second peak Sky Supreme demonic beast said indifferently. Clearly, the second peak Sky Supreme demonic beast was the leader of the 3 demonic beasts. The other 2 demonic beasts had no choice but to listen to him. Moreover, his cultivation was higher than the other 2 demonic beasts. He wasn't too far away from the half-saint realm. At the very least, he was at the threshold of the half-saint realm. As long as he had a fortuitous encounter, advancing to the half-saint realm shouldn't be a problem. There's a formation in the area in front of the cave. The 2 of you, follow me. We'll enter the cave from another direction. The second peak Sky Supreme demonic beast's figure flickered as he flew in another direction. Chapter 1628. Chapter 1628, A Crystal Wall. At the same time, in the passageway where Hu Wentian was at, Hu Wentian's face turned ugly when he saw the huge boulder that suddenly appeared in front of him. The passageway was already getting narrower and narrower, and now, a huge boulder appeared in the middle of the passageway, completely blocking it. "You guys stay back, I'll think of a way to break the boulder." Taking a deep breath, Hu Wentian waved his hand, signaling the 9-tailed fox beside him to back off. 12 heavenly supreme realm 9-tailed demon foxes were the peak combat power of Foxman Valley. Hu Wentian didn't want them all to die here. Swish. Thus, after the 9-tailed demon foxes retreated, Hu Wentian stomped on the ground, and like a cheetah, he shot forward. Open. Opening his right hand, Hu Wentian slammed his palm onto the boulder. Not good. The moment his palm came into contact with the boulder, Hu Wentian sensed something amiss and hurriedly retreated. However, Hu Wentian's speed was clearly slower by half a beat. The terrifying rebound force rebounded back onto Hu Wentian's palm. Poochie. The huge rebound force caused Hu Wentian to crash heavily onto the ground. His mouth opened wide as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it. Hu Wentian crawled up from the ground with great difficulty, wiping the blood off the corner of his mouth as he cursed inwardly. I knew that old fellow Di Shitian was up to no good. Everyone, rest here. After thinking for a moment, Hu Wentian said, wait for me to think of, rumble. However, halfway through his words, Hu Wentian's pupils shrank as his heart sank to the bottom. Because Hu Wentian discovered that the boulder in front of him was actually starting to roll. The passageway was only so big, and the boulder was moving at such a fast speed. One could imagine that if one was crushed by the boulder, even if they didn't die, they would at least lose a layer of skin. Set up the formation. At this critical moment, Hu Wentian became calm as he roared in a low voice. Huala. As Hu Wentian roared, the 12 heavenly supreme 9-tailed demon foxes moved in unison, standing behind Hu Wentian. The first 9-tailed demon fox placed its palm on Hu Wentian's back, the second 9-tailed demon fox placed its palm on the first 9-tailed demon fox's back, and so on. The 12 9-tailed demon foxes formed a long dragon. Break. With the support of the 12 9-tailed foxes, Hu Wentian took a deep breath and pushed his right hand forward once more. Compared to the previous palm strike, the might of Hu Wentian's palm strike was several times greater. Generally speaking, as long as the attack power reached a certain degree, it could be completely blown away. As such, Hu Wentian was gambling. He bet that he and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes could shatter the rock. If they won the bet, they would naturally be unobstructed. If they lost, they would all be wiped out. Bang! Hu Wentian roared madly as his palm came into contact with the rock. As soon as Hu Wentian came into contact with the rock, he felt a terrifying rebound force that was trying to send him flying. Ignite blood essence. Hu Wentian knew that the current situation was very dangerous, so he did not hesitate to ignite his blood essence in order to block the stone and shatter it. Kai Kai. After burning his blood essence, Hu Wentian's fighting prowess had increased significantly. Catcher. Under the combined attacks of Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed foxes, the massive boulder finally succumbed to the pressure and split into two. Hua. Although the boulder shattered, Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were all blasted away as they fell into the tunnel. Pu, 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 Pu. The 12 nine-tailed demon foxes, including Hu Wentian, all coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood as their auras plummeted. Rumble. Just when Hu Wentian wanted to rest, his eyes widened as he involuntarily cursed. F*ck me. How the F*ck do you want me to live? Hu Wentian wanted nothing more than to dismember Di Shitian into 8 pieces. The boulder at the front of the tunnel was destroyed, but at the back of the tunnel, another gigantic boulder appeared. Go. Destroying the boulder in front of them exhausted 80% of the yuan qi of Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes. Hu Wentian didn't dare to block the boulder at the back of the tunnel. His silhouette flickered as he took the lead, dashing towards the other end of the tunnel. Not only Hu Wentian, the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes didn't dare to be slow as well. All of them unleashed all their strength. In this tunnel, Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were currently fleeing for their lives. In the other tunnel, Ning Yu and Xie Ziyi were both dumbfounded. The deeper they went, the denser the yuan qi became. Not only that, there were also many saint-grade yuan crystals embedded into the stone walls on both sides of the tunnel. Only fools wouldn't take advantage of this opportunity. Ning Yu didn't reject any of them. Along the way, he would take any saint-grade yuan crystal he saw. In merely 10 minutes, Ning Yu had already plucked over 20 saint-grade yuan crystals from the walls. Other than keeping a few for cultivation, Ning Yu gave all the remaining saint-grade yuan crystals to the sapling. If the sapling wanted to level up, it would require a huge amount of energy. And for the sake of obtaining the golden key from the Starsky flower, the sapling didn't hesitate to destroy its own golden branches. Now that Ning Yu had obtained the saint-grade yuan crystals, he naturally had to give some to the sapling. Ka. The speed at which the sapling devoured the saint-grade yuan crystal caused Ning Yu to be greatly shocked. Ning Yu needed a very long time to completely devour a saint-grade yuan crystal. On the other hand, the sapling only took a few minutes to devour a saint-grade yuan crystal. Ning Yu, just give me a few hundred of these saint-grade yuan crystals and I'm confident that I'll be able to reach the 6th grade Earth Supreme Realm again, the sapling said to Ning Yu as it devoured the saint-grade yuan crystal. If you give me all the yuan crystals in the entire saint-grade yuan crystal vein, I'll be able to reach the heavenly supreme realm easily. Ning Yu rolled his eyes at the sapling's words and ignored it. There were a few factions in the saint-grade yuan crystal vein, and there were even demon spirit realm experts imprisoned there. Wanting to obtain all the saint-grade yuan crystals in the saint-grade yuan crystal vein was harder than ascending to the heavens. Xie Ziyi, did you notice anything? Ning Yu didn't forget to chat with Xie Ziyi along the way. After all, Xie Ziyi's cultivation was at the pinnacle of the heavenly supreme realm. Although he couldn't exert his peak battle strength, his perception was still stronger than Ning Yu's. There shouldn't be any danger in this passage. Xie Ziyi lowered his voice. But I feel like someone's watching us. That's right, I feel the same way. Ning Yu nodded and said, let's try not to make a sound and follow the passage. Rustle. Xie Ziyi and Ning Yu's guess was right. Everything they did in the passageway, including the saint-grade yuan crystals on the walls, was seen by Di Shitian and Di Feng. In a secret chamber in the deepest part of the saint-grade yuan crystal vein, Di Shitian, Di Feng, and 2 other late heavenly supreme realm experts were all standing. On the wall in front of them, there was a square crystal hanging across the wall. The crystal was divided into two parts. The first part was the situation in Hu Wentian's passage. The second part was the situation in Ning Yu and Xie Zi's passage. Chapter 1629. Chapter 1629. The final formation Xie Lin and Xie Zi shouldn't have any problems. Di Feng looked at the second part of the crystal for a moment before turning to the first part. He said, Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes, stay behind. Stay behind? Hearing this, Di Shitian was slightly startled as he asked in bewilderment, according to the agreement, shouldn't they all die in the passageway? The reason why Di Shitian was bewildered was because they had already discussed this earlier. They would activate the formation in the tunnel and let Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes die in the tunnel. Leave the formation in the tunnel for another group of people. The corner of Di Feng's lips curled into a smile as he said sinisterly, lure Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes into the final formation. This, all right. Di Shitian wanted to say something but he could only nod and leave the secret room when he saw Di Feng's gaze. The two of you, bring all the saint-grade origin crystals that have been mined. After Di Shitian left, Di Feng said to the two late heavenly supremes, also, tell those who are mining the saint-grade origin crystals to speed up. Yes. The two late-stage sky supremes nodded at the same time and left the room one after the other. Success or failure depends on this. After everyone left, Di Feng took a deep breath and his face turned solemn. Since the discovery of the Saint-grade origin crystal mine, the Emperor Palace had been using the Saint-grade origin crystal mine as the center to carry out a secret and grand project. As long as the project was completed, the Emperor Palace would become the true overlord of the Sky Demon region. By then, the Emperor Palace would be able to trample over the entire Sky Demon region easily. Of course, everything was based on the successful completion of this project. Go and make some preparations. Di Feng's body flickered and gradually became illusory. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Rumble. In the tunnel where Hu Wentian was. The huge rock that was chasing Hu Wentian and the rest suddenly stopped. A crack appeared on the ground and the huge rock fell into the crack and disappeared. What's going on? Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were shocked by the sudden change. They were about to be crushed by the rock. Why did the rock suddenly disappear? Crack. Ling Hu Wentian and the others were still in shock. As soon as the stone behind them disappeared, another stone appeared in front of them. However, it was different this time. This time, a door appeared beside the rock. Creak. Moreover, the door was still open. Go in. Hu Wentian was not an indecisive person. He didn't think too much and immediately decided to enter the room. In any case, Hu Wentian had already figured it out. If Di Shitian wanted him dead, he had already died countless times. After all, there was the black qi within his body. As long as Di Shitian controlled the black qi, he would undoubtedly die. Since Di Shitian didn't kill him, it meant that Di Shitian didn't want to kill him. Swish swish swish. Hu Wentian led the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes into the room in front of the stone. Creak. The moment Hu Wentian and the others stepped into the room, the door closed behind them. Everyone, follow me closely. Since he had decided to enter the room, Hu Wentian would not back down. He released his perception and carefully moved forward. They advanced for half an hour. The road ahead suddenly opened up. What is this place? Hu Wentian discovered. At this moment, he was no longer in the room, but in a spacious area. There were 4 walls in all directions, blocking off all paths of retreat. Above them, there was an invisible net that was firmly guarding them. We're surrounded. Hu Wentian's expression turned extremely unsightly. The few times he came here with Di Shitian, he had never been to this place. Now that he was here, his heart sank to the bottom. Being surrounded wasn't what Hu Wentian was worried about. What he was worried about was the 5 terrifying auras that had appeared in the surroundings. Peak Heavenly Supreme. Without a doubt, the 5 terrifying auras were the same peak-level Heavenly Supreme that Hu Wentian had sensed previously. Creak. Right at this moment, A crack appeared on the wall to the east, and two figures appeared. Ningyu and Xiezi. These two figures were none other than Ningyu and Xiezi. Senior who, you, not good. Upon seeing Hu Wentian, Ningyu wanted to ask, but his heart skipped a beat. 5 peak-level heavenly supreme auras appeared at the same time. Sensing the 5 terrifying auras, Ningyu's expression turned even uglier than Hu Wentian's. However, Ningyu's reaction was extremely fast, and he calmed down in the blink of an eye. From the situation in the tunnel, Di Shitian didn't harm him. Evidently, Di Shitian wanted to lure his master here. Hehehe, there's nothing bad about it. I'm sure you've already discovered something. Space split apart as a faint laughter entered the ears of Ningyu and Hu Wentian. Soon after, Di Shitian appeared. What do you mean by this? Seeing Di Shitian's appearance, Hu Wentian coldly snorted. You lured me here, but didn't say anything. Are you toying with me? Don't be angry, how could I possibly be toying with you? Di Shitian waved his hands. Take out the Star Heaven flower. Why should I give it to you? Hu Wentian coldly snorted. Swish. However, just as Hu Wentian snorted, a gigantic elemental energy chain appeared beside him. The chain arced through the air, ruthlessly slamming into Hu Wentian's chest. Pa. The immense force sent Hu Wentian crashing into the wall. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Since I told you to hand over the Star Heaven flower, obediently hand it over. Di Shitian coldly spoke. Shio. Seeing Hu Wentian being slammed by the elemental energy chain, the 2 nine-tailed demon foxes simultaneously dashed towards Di Shitian. Courting death. Di Shitian made a grabbing motion in the air as 2 elemental energy chains appeared. Poochie. The elemental energy chains swung through the air, unavoidable as they slammed into the necks of the 2 nine-tailed demon foxes. Di Shitian's attacks were ruthless, not holding back in the slightest. In an instant, the 2 nine-tailed demon foxes died miserably under the elemental energy chains. After casually slapping the 2 nine-tailed demon foxes to death, Di Shitian once again swung the elemental energy chains in his hands, preparing to attack again. Wait. I'll pass the Star Heaven flower to you. Seeing that Di Shitian still wanted to attack, Hu Wentian hurriedly took out the Star Heaven flower from his robes and tossed it over to Di Shitian. Cat. Di Shitian didn't even bother to look at the Star Heaven flower. With a flick of the elemental energy chains, the Star Heaven flower flew towards Ningyu. Pa. Ningyu stretched out his right hand, firmly grasping the Star Heaven flower in his palm. I've already helped you obtain the Star Heaven flower. Can you call your master over now? Chapter 1630. Transfiguration. Ningyu's heart thumped. Although he knew what Di Shitian was thinking, Ningyu was still a little taken aback when he heard it from Di Shitian's mouth. From Di Shitian's expression, Ningyu could see the calmness and confidence in Di Shitian. That was to say, Di Shitian had a way to deal with a half-saint expert. Looks like I can't let Guo Liang take the risk. Ningyu thought to himself. Originally, Ningyu planned to let Grandmaster Xingyun and Guo Liang come to the Saint-grade origin crystal vein after Grandmaster Xingyun finished refining the elixir. Now, it seemed that the situation might be a little irresponsible. Even if Guo Liang came, he wouldn't be able to deal with Di Shitian or the martial artist behind him. What? Is there a problem? The expression of hesitation on Ningyu's face was completely seen by Di Shitian. Furrowing his brows, Di Shitian threatened, "Your fate is in my hands. If your master doesn't come over, I can only apologize to you." No problem. Ningyu hurriedly said, "It's just that I don't know where master is. He might only come over after a few days." One day. Di Shitian thought for a moment before stretching out a finger. From now on, I'll give you a day's time. After a day, I hope to see your master. If not, you should know the consequences. Leaving behind these words, Di Shitian tore through space and vanished from sight. After Di Shitian disappeared, the 5 pinnacle Heavenly Supreme's auras also disappeared. What now? 10 minutes after Di Shitian disappeared, Hu Wentian carefully transmitted his voice to Ningyu. You said that you have a way to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. What is it? 5 pinnacle sky supremes don't mean that there are 5 pinnacle sky supremes. Ningyu took out the star heaven flower and placed it in his hand. He casually fiddled with the star heaven flower as he transmitted his voice. Ningyu was not as rash as Hu Wentian. In order to not attract Di Shitian's attention, he had to pretend to contact his master. In the past 10 minutes, Ningyu had carefully probed his surroundings. After 10 minutes of probing, Ningyu was surprised to find that he was in a huge array formation. This wide area was right in the middle of the formation. After discovering it was a formation, Ningyu could basically conclude that Di Shitian wanted to lure his master here, and then activate the formation to refine all of them. The news made Ningyu's expression turn ugly. But what made Ningyu feel gratified was that the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns' auras were just primordial spirits, not pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. False bravado. Evidently, Di Shitian had used the aura of 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns to intimidate Ningyu and Hu Wentian. You're saying that there aren't 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein? Hu Wentian's heart jolted as he immediately asked. That's right. Ningyu nodded his head lightly and said, You and the remaining 10 nine-tailed demon foxes, try your best to find an exit. Divert their attention. No problem. Hu Wentian could only choose to believe in Ningyu. He and the remaining 10 nine-tailed demon foxes moved around, touching left and right. They even attacked the walls with spells, trying to find an exit. How worrisome. As expected, Hu Wentian and the rest's actions made Di Shitian's face turn ugly. Originally, Di Shitian wanted to see how Ningyu was going to contact his master. After the commotion from Hu Wentian and the rest, Di Shitian decided to help Imperial Peak and lure the other 3 forces over. Okay. Di Shitian disappeared. The rock that was pressing down on Ningyu's heart also disappeared. Ningyu threw the starry sky flower into his storage ring and got the sapling to break it open and take out the golden key. After that, Ningyu contacted Hu Wentian and asked directly, Tell me, what's the use of the golden key in the starry sky flower? Hearing Ningyu's words, Hu Wentian hesitated for a while before he gritted his teeth and said, Di Shitian and the rest have a crystal coffin. I checked the keyhole on the coffin and it matches the golden key in the starry sky flower. Crystal coffin? Keyhole? Ningyu's heart was in turmoil. Now, Ningyu already knew that Di Shitian and the rest were planning a huge conspiracy with the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein as the center. Hu Wentian said that he saw the crystal coffin and there was a high possibility that a demon spirit realm expert was imprisoned here. There were only 2 possibilities. First, the one lying in the crystal coffin was a peerless expert of the Emperor Palace, a half-sage, or even a sage-level expert. Second, the demon spirit realm expert was imprisoned in the crystal coffin. Regardless of which possibility it was, Ningyu felt that this matter was extremely thorny. The golden key must not be obtained by Di Shitian. It's out. At this moment, the sapling used the Saint Grade Yuan crystal to retrieve the golden key from the starry sky flower. After retrieving the golden key, the sapling heaved a sigh of relief, looking a little dispirited. In order to retrieve the golden key, the sapling had expended a lot of its energy and almost dropped its cultivation by another level. Hu Wentian, conserve your strength first. Ningyu took out a few pieces of Saint Grade Yuan crystal and threw them to Hu Wentian before communicating with the sapling. Ningyu had to know what the golden key was. From Ningyu's point of view, the sapling definitely knew more than Hu Wentian. There was no better way to ask the sapling. Sapling, tell me honestly, what is the golden key? Ningyu said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. I can't hide it anymore, so there's no harm in telling you. I can sense a trace of the world tree branch's aura from the golden key. The sapling stretched out a branch and wrapped it around the golden key. The golden key should be very close to the world tree branch. I want to use the golden key to find the world tree branch. The world tree branch. Ningyu's eyes widened, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. There were a few ways for the sapling to increase its strength. The first method required a large amount of energy, and the second method was to find the world tree branch and devour it. The reason why the sapling could reach the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm was because it continuously devoured the world tree branch. If the sapling relied on energy to level up, it would require a large amount of energy. I can sense that as long as I can obtain the world tree branch, I'll be able to raise my cultivation to the heavenly supreme realm and transform. The sapling's words were filled with excitement. Transform? Ningyu's eyes narrowed as he exclaimed. In fact, Ningyu was even more excited than the sapling. Once the sapling could transform, its strength would soar to a whole new level. Furthermore, the sapling was unique in that it had a lot of knowledge. After all, the cultivators who were qualified to gain enlightenment under the world tree were at least heavenly sovereigns, and some were even heavenly sages. Chapter 1631. Chapter 1631. Chapter 1631. Arrive. I'll leave the golden key to you for safekeeping. Ningyu did not let his excitement get to his head. Although the sapling's strength would increase greatly after transforming, it still needed to transform first. Now that they were trapped in this formation, there was no way for them to leave in a short period of time. If he couldn't leave the formation, then everything would be in vain. Therefore, Ningyu decided to let the sapling carry the golden key and hide it in the storage ring until they left the spell formation. Ningyu could basically conclude that the purpose of Di Shitian's formation wasn't as simple as trapping him and Hu Wentian. If that was the case, Di Shitian would have made his move long ago. There was no need for him to do so. No problem. The sapling replied and then fell silent. The sapling had also heard Hu Wentian's words clearly. The sapling definitely wouldn't leave the storage ring before it saw the crystal coffin. I hope the golden Arowana Fish King and the others don't come over. After talking to the sapling, Ningyu could not help but look in the direction of Foxman Valley. According to their prior agreement, as long as Grandmaster Xingyun refined 10 batches of pills, the golden Arowana Fish King and the others would rush over at full speed. In the beginning, Ningyu had not thought it through. He had thought that with Master Zhao and Guo Liang around, they would definitely be able to enter the depths of the Saint-grade crystal mine. Grandmaster Zhao was responsible for breaking the formation, while Guo Liang was responsible for dealing with Di Shitian and the rest. But now, it seemed that the agreement back then was clearly a little childish. Not to mention whether Guo Liang could display the combat strength of a half-step saint. Even if he could display the combat strength of a half-step saint, he would still die if he broke into this formation. Because the formation Di Shitian had set up could even trap a half-step saint expert. The only plan now was for Guo Liang to secretly bring Grandmaster Zhao here. After that, Grandmaster Zhao would break the formation while Guo Liang would block Di Shitian. Of course, the possibility of that happening was extremely small and could basically be ignored. After all, this formation was located in the deepest part of the Saint-grade Yuan crystal mine. Without the help of Di Shitian and the rest, there was no way to get here. Someone's here. However, just as Ningyu was secretly anxious, his expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly retreated. Creak. After taking a few steps back, the stone wall opposite Ningyu slowly opened, and a figure flew out from it. Hundred-handed devil. Ningyu couldn't help but cry out when he saw the figure that suddenly appeared. He was right. The cultivator who flew out of the stone wall was none other than the old woman who had swallowed Meng Quan and the others, the hundred-handed demon. Huala. When Ningyu saw the hundred-armed devil naturally saw Ningyu as well. With a flick of his wrist, the hundred-armed ghost demon summoned the small world and held it in his right palm. He said in a deep voice, "You can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Let's see where you can run to this time. Sapling, can you still control the small world? Why is my connection with the small world becoming weaker and weaker?" Ningyu didn't talk to the hundred-armed devil. Instead, he secretly contacted the sapling. The reason why Ningyu and the sapling returned the small world to the hundred-armed devil was so that the next time they met, they could use the small world to counter the hundred-armed devil. But now, Ningyu felt that his connection with the small world was getting weaker and weaker. This feeling seemed to indicate that the hundred-armed devil had found some clues. Ha ha ha. Before the sapling could answer Ningyu, the the 100-armed devil laughed wildly and said, "You think I don't know that you've done something to the small world? Now, let's see how you're going to take the small world from my hand." The 100-armed devil dragged a nearly transparent crystal ball in his hand. Obviously, the small world was stored in the crystal ball by the 100-armed devil. "So, you know everything." Ningyu's expression was ugly, and he even revealed a look of fear. "What do you want? Say it." The 100-armed devil raised his eyebrows and stared at Ningyu with interest. "I don't want anything. I just want to swallow all of you and leave this damn place." Whoosh. As the 100-armed devil's voice fell, Hu Wentian and the 10 nine-tailed foxes surrounded her tightly. The 100-armed devil's cultivation was at the late heavenly supreme realm. Although it didn't seem very high, Hu Wentian's strength was only half of his peak, or even lower, due to the black gas in his body. Being surrounded by Hu Wentian in this state, the 100-armed devil did not panic at all. In fact, he even said sinisterly, "I advise you not to make an enemy out of me. Otherwise, I'll let you know the meaning of cruelty." Swish. As he spoke, the 100-armed devil flicked his wrist and threw the crystal ball into the air. The 100-armed devil chanted an incantation, wanting to display the small world. Within the small world, the 100-armed devil was the absolute ruler. Therefore, the 100-armed devil wanted to use the small world to deal with Hu Wentian and the others. This way, it could save her a lot of unnecessary trouble. However, the 100-armed devil finished chanting, but the crystal ball did not show any signs of cracking. If the crystal ball didn't crack, it meant that the small world couldn't be displayed, and it couldn't trap Hu Wentian and Ningyu inside. What's going on? The 100-armed devil was puzzled. She couldn't figure out what went wrong. Logically speaking, she had already gotten rid of Ningyu's soul force and primordial spirit in the small world, so why couldn't she control the small world? Could it be that Ningyu still had some other trump card? Thinking about it, the 100-armed devil's face turned cold as he yelled at Ningyu, "Speak. What did you do to the small world?" "Nothing," Ningyu shrugged and said. "What does it have to do with me that you can't control the small world?" "Ah, die." The 100-armed devil went berserk and let out a hysterical roar. She thought that she had controlled the small world, but who would have thought that everything was still under Ningyu's control? If it was anyone else, they would have exploded in anger. After the roar, the 100-armed devil's figure flashed and rushed toward Ningyu. Whoosh. However, before the 100-armed devil could reach Ningyu, he was stopped by Hu Wentian and the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes. Rumble. Immediately, a great battle broke out in this area. Hu Wentian and the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes had a terrifying combat power. For a moment, the 100-armed devil and the 100-armed demon foxes were evenly matched. "Sapling, are you able to contact the small world or not?" Seeing that the battle between the 100-armed devil and Hu Wentian was getting more and more intense, Ningyu hurriedly contacted the sapling and sounded very anxious. "Don't worry. As long as I want to, I can take back the small world at any time," the sapling replied. "But now is not the time to rush it." "Why?" Ningyu was puzzled. Good steel is used on the blade. You will know in a moment. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,